Hey there, you're listening to Metal Gear Mondays 2.0. This is Alessio coming at you with a little bit of a pre-roll. I just wanted to be sure to include a little message at the front of the episode to just say the show's back. And the show is back in a new format. So effectively, we're going to be doing 4 to 6 episode seasons, mini seasons, moving forward, which would give us several weeks in between each season. And we'll be speaking more to that as the episode goes on, but I just wanted to be extremely explicit right here at the front. Metal Gear Mondays is back. It's taking a new format, which will allow us to put more effort and energy into making the episodes better, longer, and more informative. If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Metal Gear Mondays. That's new. Or you can tweet directly at us at Metal Gear Monday. Thanks, Character Limit, on Twitter and on Facebook, facebook.com/Metal Gear Mondays. Enjoy the episode, you guys, and welcome to the new Metal Gear Mondays. Wrestling superstar Sam Wright is walking up and down the streets of Seattle in present-day America.
Oh my god, it's the champ!
Champ, would you sign an autograph?
Oh, for your son?
No, for me.
Wait, what about your boy?
Well, you can have him. Would that please the champ?
No need. I have an army of good boys.
Champ.
Wait, what's that? They're in the sky. What's that?
I hope it's aliens so I can watch you suplex their leader.
Yeah, champ, go get him!
Whoa!
We join auteur filmmaker Alessio Summerfield inside the studio, also in present-day America. And that's a wrap. Great work, team.
Oh, this is definitely going to be another Oscar contender.
I don't have time to build another shelf to house more Oscars. I hope they give it to someone else. You know, someone who needs it, like that Leonardo DiCaprio boy.
Wait, but he's in the film, so you'll still be associated.
Oh, is he? Well, damn, I couldn't tell. Was it the scene with Pitt, De Niro, Pacino, Hawk, DJ Khaled, Wareheim, Reichmuth, Wiseau, and William Shatner?
Extra number 3, yes.
Oh, he has not aged well. Poor guy. Somebody should probably tell his agent. Oh my god, the effects team really has stepped up their game since the last film.
That's not our guys. We cut them a few hours ago.
Oh no! And now our two boys are trapped in an alternate dimension.
Oh, did I land on something? Whoa, I'm sorry. Wait, Alessio?
Sam?
Where the hell are we?
I have no idea. How have you been, though? I feel like I haven't seen you in ages since, we shut down that podcast we were doing.
Oh, yeah, that. Well, I've been good. I hit it big when I took over Microsoft in Seattle, and then I won every wrestling tournament in the world and got on the New York Times bestseller list 3 years running.
Oh, that's right. I absolutely loved your novelization of Stevie G's Babylon.
What have you been up to?
Same old, just movie stuff, I guess.
Oh, man. Gargantuan, the story of Inflatable Boy. That was stellar, man. It made me cry. It hit my soul.
Thanks. It was really cool getting the rights to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. Who knew he had such a tragic backstory? Huh, what's this?
It's a missing flyer. Have you seen Hideo Kojima?
That's weird. I feel like I just finished that awesome Metal Gear 1 remake that they built in the Fox engine on my PS4 Elite Ultra Shock Professional Ultra Double Wide XX1 edition.
Oh, wait, what's that? What's that noise?
Oh my god, does he have a Jolly Rancher for a head? What is that?
I don't know, but I think we should get out of here.
Okay, Sam, let's go. Oh my god. Over there, in the distance. What's that?
What is that?
It's a good thing we found this abandoned Diamond Dogs base.
Yeah, there's no reason for this to logically be here, but we had a pre-existing copy of the data lying around, so why not drop it in wherever, right?
Yeah, totally. Hey, what's that?
Oh, it looks like podcasting gear.
Sam, you think we got one more episode left in us? Looks like the gates of hell are right at our front door.
Well, There's nothing more that I would want to be doing right now than recording a podcast. So let's do it.
I hope no one asks where Isaac's at. Here we go. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, you're listening to Metal Gear Mondays, the Metal Gear Fancast, brought to you by Metal Gear Mondays. Oh my God.
Whoa!
Yeah, and we're back. So this is your chronological sort of top to bottom, left to right in some sort of order Metal Gear podcast featuring me, Alessio, and our boy Sam. Sam, what's your name? Sam?
Yo, this game sucks.
So me and Sam are going to be covering Metal Gear Survive on episode 65 of Metal Gear
65 to
Mondays.
survive.
Yeah, and shout out to all the haters out there. This isn't a one-off episode. It is with
haters.
The hater. It is
the David hater?
it is with great pleasure that Sam and myself introduce Metal Gear Mondays 2.0. Yeah.
2.0, doing the damn thing. We have to have a subtitle.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's Metal Gear Mondays 2.0, doing the damn thing, tactical podcastable action.
Beers up, gears up, 10 cup, teams up, suckers walk.
Exactly. But yeah, so just to kind of dive in real quick on what the fuck that means for people. So we are bringing the show back, but we are going to be bringing it back into sort of like 4 to 6 episode seasons. And we are going to be covering sort of a variety of things within like a lump for that season. It'll allow us the flexibility to record that whole season at once before putting it out. And it will make the episodes better because we get to make the editing better and take our time and make it good. So for those of you who have no clue what the hell that means that this episode is me and Sam talking about Survive. Next week's episode for you guys is going to be Metal Gear Rising Revengeance with me, Sam, Isaac, and new boy James Reichmuth, aka Jimmy the Stinger.
Jimmy the Stinger. He was on one episode back during Metal Gear Mondays 1.0. Did the damn thing. That was a subtitle. That was the subtitle for the first 1.0, and then it's doing the damn thing for 2.0. But he was on that one episode where you tried to explain Metal Gear to him.
Correct. So yeah, the Metal Gear Mondays David Hayter edition, and now we're in Metal Gear Mondays Kiefer Sutherland edition.
Oh no!
Oh, harsh.
I sent you a text a couple days ago, which was a time hop notification from 5 years ago where I posted on Facebook that said they're making a new Metal Gear and David Hayter's not going to be the voice of Snake. I feel like I need to have words with somebody. So it was around 5 years ago they announced that David Hayter was not going to be returning as Snake. And apparently my 21-year-old self was very upset about that.
That's insane. I didn't realize it was that long ago. But yeah, so after the Metal Gear Rising episode, we're going to be doing an episode with Sam and myself talking about, well, actually all of us again. Yeah, sorry. The four boys talking about all of the Metal Gear mobile games that we're just going to get them all in one big batch. And then after that, we're having a fun time. We're all going to be bringing our own Metal Gear fan fiction to the table. And sharing Metal Gear fan fiction and talking about fan fiction in general. But that's this season. However, towards the end of June, we will be recording the next season, and that season will be Peace Walker. So we're going to be doing 5 episodes on Peace Walker. We'll make some announcements as to when listener responses are due for that kind of stuff. But this will give you guys more time to write in. It'll give us more time to make the show better.
Hey, can I tell you what I've really been up with? A beautiful skit at the top of the episode. But I want to tell you what I've been really up to in the last year or so.
You're not an intergalactic wrestling star? Not
yet. I'm mostly just a galactic wrestling star, this current galaxy, but I'm branching out. I want to play a game of 2 truths and a lie with you to let you know.
Okay.
What I've been up to. So I'm going to tell you 3 things, and you have to guess which one's the lie.
Okay.
And it starts with in the time that between the last episode we recorded and this episode, I've gotten 6 tattoos. I've been obsessed for some reason with lemonade. and also
The Beyonce record.
But both the Beyonce. I drink lemonade while listening to
Okay.
lemonade.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then also I have invested in beard oil, and it's been the best decision I've ever made in my life.
I'm going to go with the tattoos and the lemonade because I can't remember if you have enough hair on your face for beard oil or not.
I do have enough hair on my face for
Oh,
beard oil.
no.
I tricked you. All three of them are true.
Ah, damn it. Well, that's great. I love all of those. I love all three of those things.
Thank you. Would you like to play, or do you want to get into it?
I'm trying to think of what I can. Let me pull something out of my butt real quick. Yeah, I don't know if I've got anything that's not the same old shit. I too got a tattoo a couple days ago. I got a big old 23 tattooed on my left shoulder.
Nice.
I'll let you guys pontificate as to what that's there for.
So the Jim Carrey film, the number 23.
Absolutely, that and the Adele record, I believe, and David Beckham's jersey number. So
I love how she names her records after how old she is when she recorded the record.
for sure, yeah, it's awesome. So one other thing that I want to bring to the table with Metal Gear Mondays 2.0, we're doing the damn thing. Kiefer Sutherland, Kojima is dead. There is no God edition. Is I'm gonna start kind of putting some like 10-minute news little bulletins at the beginning of every episode. So we're gonna talk about some current affairs, Metal Gear shiz.
Current affairs.
So here we go with this week's Kodak call. I don't fucking know what we're gonna call this. But yeah, so here we go.
Cue it here. It's time for new news. Metal Gear news.
Yeah. Just, a little.
Mwah, mwah.
But
The
yeah.
classics.
So what I did for this week. So we've got two things that are pretty chill, pretty trill, and then we've got like three things that are like
Not
So the
not
yeah.
chill at all.
So the first thing, and this is kind of an oldie, but since we're talking about Metal Gear Survive, why not? Metal Gear Survive was in the UK top 5 releases the month that it came out.
That's buck wild to me because this game is not.
That sounds like some
that.
buyer's remorse, right? Like I'm sure that
Yeah.
everybody who bought it has got to feel kind of a way about it, right?
I would think so. Like, I don't think that most of the people who bought this game, including I imagine us, really feel too happy about the fact they spent $40 on it. But there's got to be like a contingent of people out there that maintain that this game is the greatest thing ever.
For sure. And we'll talk more about that here in a second.
Yeah.
It looks like a few freelance artists just recently listed that they have gotten jobs at Sony Pictures and specifically to work on the Metal Gear Solid film. So it sounds like it's still happening. I don't know if... So knowing what I know about the film world, I'm assuming what happened was that the intellectual property got optioned to Sony Pictures, and so Sony Pictures is carrying the torch forward. I'm assuming that Konami is, depending on the contract details of the option, Konami may not even get final say on anything, depending, again.
At this stage, that might be good.
Yeah. So essentially what I wanted to say to all of our listeners out there is from my very shallow knowledge into the legality and workflow of purchasing intellectual property and making films out of it, I think we might be in the clear. Like, this might be just like all Sony, and then the guy who directed Kong Island or whatever the fuck, or Kong Skull Island or whatever, it might just be on their shoulders now. So we might actually be in pretty good hands. Who knows? Cool. Besides that,
We shall see. Didn't Sony Pictures also make Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
So,
Well, technically, Sony Pictures was co-involved with what's it called?
Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yeah, but I guess they probably just like licensed it out though. I don't. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd give Homecoming to Marvel more than I would Sony.
Yeah. Well, and that's the shitty part too. Is like Sony Classics, like the publishing wing that just like publishes productions. I guess. They publish some fantastic films. So I don't know why Sony Pictures can't get their shit together, but We will see. The other news items are kind of real quick. I literally just typed in Metal Gear and said, "Show me the last 3 weeks or last month" in Google. And so just to kind of give you guys a feel for things, people are still lamenting the fact that Metal Gear Solid 5 feels like an unfinished game. Lots of people are talking about how Metal Gear Solid 2's ending speech still matters, and I'm talking like 5 articles got published in the last fucking 48 hours about this.
I remember I sent you a link to like some type of Facebook post, which is funny because that's also part of this what we're about to start talking about. But a couple of I guess it'd be like a couple months ago, and it was just like everything that the speech and that the Colonel said is just like way too relevant, like scary relevant to like everything that's happening in the country right now.
So my MGS2 fanboys out there, yeah, definitely like some fake news, some like government shit, and I would say specifically with the whole Cambridge Analytica like weird Facebook privacy breach, things are kind of spooky.
Problems.
Yes. Also, between episode 64 and episode 65, like 9 to 10 months have passed. So if you guys still haven't watched the second Death Stranding trailer, or excuse me, the third Death Stranding trailer, or any of Hideo Kojima's interviews with IGN talking about the lore of Death Stranding, there's a lot of really fucking cool stuff. Sam, are you excited for that game?
I'm very excited about that game. And you know, the Buck Wild thing is that I still don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, still have no idea like what it is, how it plays, like what the gameplay is. I'm just very excited for it. So
I didn't realize, so I know based on the videos that are out right now, it does definitely seem like there's some sort of weird sort of interdimensional kind of like when you die, you don't really die, kind of Dark Souls style.
That was the one interview that I remember sending you was like he was talking about how like that area with like in the first trailer where like all those things were in the sky.
Yeah,
and it was,
that's like the
beach,
death
like,
area,
upside
right?
down. Yeah, when you die, you go there, and it's like a hub world, kind of like Dark Souls. There's like this place where you're safe from everything, and then you can go out and respawn and like go do the thing again. So it's like it's intriguing, and like there is like I don't understand how there's 3 trailers and he's had so many interviews, and I still don't know what the game is.
The crazy part is I believe there was an interview where he was talking about how there are multiple protagonists. And so apparently there's a female main character who speaks both French and German that appears in the game that we know nothing about.
Oh, yeah. We haven't seen her at all in any of the trailers.
And I believe that a lot of people are speculating that it may actually be, oh man, I'm trying to remember who. Fuck. People are speculating that I think it's somebody from one of the recent Oscar contenders that people are speculating it is, and I can't remember if it was
Frances
Shape of Water.
McDormand.
No, I wish.
No, that would be badass.
That'd
though.
be fucking amazing. I can't remember who it was. I think it may have been somebody from Call Me by Your Name, or I can't remember. I don't know. But anyway, Sam, are you ready to jump in Metal Gear Survive with me?
Oh God, I guess.
Here we go.
I don't want to go back.
So, Metal Gear Survive is an action-adventure survival game that was released on the PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One on February the 20th in the United States of 2018, as well as the 21st and 22nd in Japan and Europe, respectively. It was developed and published by Konami Digital Entertainment, and most notably, and I'm sure we will talk about this a lot today, is the first Metal Gear game developed since Hideo Kojima left Konami. Yeah. There's a big stink around this game. Sam, I think we should probably talk a little bit about the lead up to the game existing. So, and I know we've talked about it a little bit on Facebook. I know we've even talked about it a little bit even on the podcast before we stopped recording. So that means they definitely revealed it less than a year, a little bit around a year ago, I want to say.
Yeah. I want to, before we start talking about that, I want to apologize because we have talked about it a little bit on the Facebook group, and I went on there and I was just like, hey, it's actually good. It's not.
Yeah, we can. Let's talk about pre-release reactions.
Yes.
Let's talk about beta, and let's talk about initial reactions to the main game. because I almost feel like there are 4 phases, almost like the stages of grief. I feel like that there are 4 phases, and I believe that I went through 4 different changes in my feelings.
Okay, because I went through one, and I think that'll be fun to contrast.
Very nice. Yeah. So pre-release, essentially, we were given some trailers that primarily seemed to show off and this was sort of a problem with the marketing, in my opinion. Primarily, seemed to just show off the 4-person co-op experience. And primarily depicted what is roughly 90% of this game, which is chain link fences and stabbing things with poles. We saw that there were 4 characters. We saw that there were sort of like custom characters, kind of build your own equipment, gear. We saw them clearly in what appeared to be the Afghanistan map from Metal Gear Solid 5, but with sort of like a coat of post-apocalypse paint over it. And we just saw some dusty boys collecting some dusty things from some dusty zombies. That's pretty much what we saw.
Dusty Jolly Rancher zombies.
Yeah, so my initial response whenever I saw it was like, oh, cool, is this going to be free DLC for Metal Gear Solid 5?
No.
Yep. What did you think when you first saw the trailers, Sam?
I don't know what I thought. I think I remember watching the trailer and being like, this looks trash. I was not happy about it.
Yeah,
initially.
And to be honest, I feel like 99% of the internet felt the same way. It was very much so like, I think it was like part of the people that I follow on Twitter and stuff like that. I think like a chunk of them were like, let's be cautiously optimistic. Maybe Konami can kind of do something interesting without Kojima present. Who knows? We're not holding our breath, but maybe. And then I think majority were screaming. I remember us
talking about it, and I remember talking about how like it looked so bad, and then you asked me, I think, you gonna get it? And I was like, yeah.
Just begrudgingly. Yeah, so here's the deal. I didn't think I was gonna buy this game. And so that phase 1 of 4, I was like, not my cup of tea. I'm not a multiplayer guy. I don't really care. And between phase 1 and phase 2 for me, I started playing like Overwatch and Monster Hunter and PUBG and Street Fighter again. And so like somehow between phase 1 and phase 2, between pre-release and beta, I somehow got to the point where I was pretty much only playing multiplayer games. And I think it's just because I was only free for like an hour or 2 at a time.
So it made sense.
Yeah, and so it was like, well, I don't want to dive into anything too hefty. And so within, I guess, before you and I checked out the beta, I was kind of like, huh.
PUBG gets hefty if you're not careful.
No, that's totally true. But yeah, so how did you, because I know, so there were 2 betas. For anybody who's been sort of keeping up with this game, there were 2 beta periods. There was one beta, I'd say roughly about 4 months before release, and then there was one beta probably
like the weekend before.
Yeah, like the weekend before it came out. And so Sam and I both, I think I logged into that first beta and fucked around in the lobby and then was like, I don't know about this.
Which I like. So the second beta had the new lobby where like you walked around and had like target practice stuff.
For sure.
And legitimately, I'll give this game this. Legitimately, I think the multiplayer lobby of Metal Gear Survive is probably one of the coolest lobbies I've ever.
It's super cool. And just to kind of paint the picture for you guys, it's the current co-op lobby for the game as well. The second beta was the like current build, I guess, of the lobby. And for those of you who don't ever want to play this game before or play this game ever, and I'm hoping that's a majority of people. For those of you who don't want to play this game, this episode, I kind of want to build it as like a service for you guys. So like you can listen to this episode and never have to play the game. And so to describe the lobby that Sam's talking about, essentially it's kind of like Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence when you're in those like weird like cutscene choosing rooms and stuff from like the original PS2.
It's like a big white space.
It's like a VR mission, kind of.
Yeah, and like in the background, on like just kind of hovering like super tall in the background of this white space is the cards, like the
pause
equipment
menu
cards.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
like the iDroid
people. Yeah, of the people that are in the lobby. So it'll show like the person's current level, and like what equipment they're using and stuff like that. And then there's 4 spaces for everybody that can be in the lobby. So you can just like turn your camera and look up at like
a giant fucking stat card, essentially.
Yeah,
like, let me look at your
pretty
baseball
much.
card.
Yeah, it's just always there.
Yeah, it also shows like the map that you're about to go to in like a huge.
Off to like the left.
Yeah, essentially, like you're kind of in. It looks like a circle, but really, it's kind of like a 4-walled giant room, and each wall kind of shows different parts of what your pause menu would show in the single player. But there's also like you can press a button and queue up a bunch of target practice dummies that kind of spawn from the floor and stuff like that.
And everything, like when you're in this space, all your ammo and like equipment and stuff is unlimited, so you can like play around as much as you want to with like equipment and traps and things like that.
Which feels so great. And so when that's not the case, it hurts. And so let's talk a little bit about the beta, Sam, because I think the beta got both of us really excited for this game.
Yes.
In a way that I didn't. In a way that like you kind of go into a bad movie with your expectations like under the ground, and then like you walk out and you're like, holy shit! Like that was a C plus, but like it wasn't the dumpster.
C+.
Yeah, it wasn't the dumpster fire I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. It was so, and this translates into the actual release as well. The multiplayer, I think, is the star of the package. It definitely feels like maybe like the multiplayer should have been a couple of game modes released for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh yeah.
And
if it would have been $10 DLC for MGS5, like I would have this would have been like an A+ recommendation. Like definitely go pick this up.
But yeah, the multiplayer is really fun once you like kind of get the hang of like what's happening. You're in just like a place that you have to defend, and this like digger is trying to collect energy from space.
Yeah,
I guess.
We'll get into the narrative deceit that's happening in this game.
Yeah, for sure. And while that's happening, you can look on the map, and a bunch of lanes are moving towards your base. And there are portals that are the end of the lanes, and these like creatures, the zombies, will fall out of the portals, and you have to defend your base and your digger from being destroyed and attacked. And so you're building up traps and walls, and you're going around and killing everything. And there are like side missions too, which is weird. Like there are side missions scattered throughout the map. So if you have a full party, maybe one of you can like go off and like you find the side missions and collect extra energy and like do cool stuff. And they're like walker gears hidden around the map someplace. Sometimes it's very interesting.
It's hearing you describe it the way that you just did, Sam, it didn't dawn on me until just now that like it actually has a lot of similarities, not just with base defense, but like Dota and like League of Legends.
Yes, with the lanes and everything.
Yeah, because there's lanes, there's like what are they called? Not minions. Whatever. There's lanes, there's creatures, and then those side missions are a lot like people who like jungle in like MOBAs.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's almost just like it's a Fox Engine zombie MOBA crafting game. And with 4 people, even if you're not really on voice chat, it's still fun. Like me and Sam voice chatted with ourselves, but we had like random people that we played with a little bit as well. And it was fun. You're throwing up fences. You're building little blockades. You're throwing grenades. I would go so far as to say that this game is at its peak when you're having to use every single item you have and things are feeling hairy and like you're not going to make it, and then you do.
Yeah. And we can and the here's what sucks about that though in the main release, 'cause we didn't know this was going to be like this in the beta, and we'll talk about this. The multiplayer uses the same resources that you have in single player.
Oh, Jesus fuck, yeah.
So if you play the multiplayer and you like use up all your resources in multiplayer, you have fucking nothing
yeah,
in
it's
single player.
This game, and we'll talk about it, I think, at length as we kind of get into the story. This game is definitely a rich get richer, poor get poorer kind of situation where like you're expending resources to do basic things, and yet you're having to do so much of the same basic things that if you're not taking time to grind out and harvest and do all this ammo conservation and essentially never get to use any of your shiny toys, you're just getting poorer and poorer. And there's not really, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of balance issues here, and that's what makes me feel like this was a very half-assed development.
And it jumps into like that realm because this has been like a big talking point this last year for gaming, like with Star Wars and all these other things that are coming out, is that this is a microtransaction game. And
yeah, and I will say this, just for the purpose of this podcast, we actually did not utilize any of those microtransactions.
No, I did not.
Yeah, so and there were a couple times throughout the course of owning the game and today where servers would go down, and so the development team would just gift people, like I think it's like, SV coins is what they're called. And so I've amassed a bunch of them, but really you can only use them to either buy resource containers, which are essentially just like fucking loot boxes for
random loot boxes. And stuff,
for craftable stuff.
And you can buy like premium
ticket
boost passes. That allow you to collect more Kuban energy from like killing like wanderers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Kuban energy and we'll go into it, but Kuban energy is essentially just like the money that you use to make stuff on top of the resources that you need. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But yeah, so needless to say, there was no thirst or hunger meter in the beta. And it was so much fun.
No. The oxygen meter was there, but the hunger and thirst wasn't. But
Correct.
The oxygen never went down.
Yeah. So it was great. Like without those meters, I really enjoyed the game.
Mm-hmm. So the problem with the meters is that in single player, the hunger and thirst meter go down so fucking fast.
It's very fast.
It feels like you're playing for the meters instead of playing a game that should be fun.
Yeah. And we can talk about like when that eventually becomes less of a problem, but I still feel like even end game meter consumption is still like 0.50%, or I guess times higher than it should be.
Mm-hmm. And then like when you go in the single player, there's this place called, you go into this like dust cloud and you have to have an oxygen mask for that. And I counted, the oxygen goes down 1% every 6 seconds.
That's insane.
So,
I had no idea it was that.
Yeah, and it drains super fast. And in order to fill it back up, you have to spend Kuban energy, but there's like this diminishing return. So the more time you refill with Kuban energy, the less percentage you get back of your oxygen tank.
Also, it breaks the tank, which you then have to like repair.
Yes. Yeah. You have to repair the tank later. And you wind up wasting your Kuban energy because you're in the middle of like this defending this transporter, or in the middle of this like at the bottom of this ruin that you can't like get out fast, so you have to spend the Kuban energy. But it's just it's such a bad system
for sure. So real quick, just getting back to it, so I'd say between phase 2 and phase 3, so again beta and release, I was kind of excited, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had a good time playing with you. I know that you had pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it just because I wanted to have it the day that it came out.
For sure.
And there were some bonus items that came with it. There was like a couple golden weapons and like some other stuff.
Some real dumb Metal Gear heads. It was like you get like a baby Metal Gear Ray for a head. It was like, what the hell is going on?
Which I wore for a little bit, and then I was like, this is stupid. I'm taking this off.
Yeah, the box head was kind of fun.
Yeah, and now I have an eye patch on. So
for sure. But yeah, so
we went into multiplayer when me and Alessio played multiplayer last time. We went in and our characters looked virtually identical, aside from like the color of our scarves.
For sure. Which by the time I beat the game, I think, and I know I keep saying we'll get to it. By the time I beat the game, I felt as if I looked pretty different, and I felt as if the game had actually finally opened up in a way that it was like, here's the real game. And it's like, yeah, but I just had to play 30 fucking hours of garbage fetch quests. How dare you? But anyway, so yeah, between beta and release, Sam and I had a really good time. I knew Sam had pre-ordered it. I was trying to talk Isaac into playing it with us, but he wasn't taking the bait.
Yeah, that's probably good for Isaac.
Yeah.
He's listen, Isaac is a sweet, good boy, and he's not a sucker.
Yeah.
So he's got that going for him.
And essentially, I was just kind of like Sam, I was like, man, like I keep hearing, and I think we need to talk about this because I don't think we've talked about it. I kept hearing and reading that there was a cutscene single-player story mode. And I was like, okay, so here's the deal. I enjoyed playing with Sam, but I also want to see what the hell this story is going to be. Like, what are they going to do? And so for me, I was like, and keep in mind as well, this is sort of a budget title, so it's not the full $60. It's $40. It's not really budget. Typically like $30. I guess $39.99 is typical budget, but
These days,
it's $40. You get one character slot. If you want to create other characters, you legitimately have to pay $10, which is stupid.
This was a controversy when the game came out.
Yeah.
And for good reason. That sucks.
And they still haven't changed it. And I don't know. I'm the kind of person who never makes more than really one character anyway in video games. But I can imagine if you are, and I think it bounds it by PSN account. So if you're a multi-family household or whatever, multi-person household, I think you can just each have your own PSN account or each have your own sign-in. And I think you can have one character per. But I can imagine that it's probably frustrating.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went ahead and said, fuck it. Just as a rule with multiplayer games or multiplayer only games, I will tend to buy them digitally because in my opinion, if the servers ever shut down, what the fuck am I going to do with a physical copy? And so I typically buy digital multiplayer only. I bought Monster Hunter physically because it does have single player, I guess, elements to it or whatever. But Metal Gear Survive, spoiler alert, always online. You cannot play the game if you're offline, period, at all. So
if servers go down, that single player is going to be.
Yeah, it's gone. Which, like, fuck it, it's stupid. Whatever. So anyway, so I pre-ordered it digitally through PSN. I pre-downloaded it, so right when it went live, I had access. Sam, I don't know if I ever told you this, so I happened to be awake right around the time that it was live, and so I was like, oh well, fuck it, like I'm gonna check it out. For 3 hours after the game released, which it released at 10 p.m. Central, or maybe midnight Central. I think it was midnight Central. For about 2 hours before I went to bed, every single stream on PlayStation Network and every single stream on Twitch was a black screen saying that the game didn't have the patch it needed installed.
Oh my god.
And we went through 3 patches before the game became playable. I sat there and literally had to download 3 patches that were released probably about 45 minutes apart from each other before I could even play the game.
What kind of foolishness is that?
Yeah, people were really bummed out. There was one streamer, and I really wish I would have told you this, Sam. There was one streamer who was frustrated that it wasn't live yet, and so what he did was he pulled out a bunch of beautiful art coffee table books, and we just flipped through them, and he talked about them while we were watching the stream. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
But
was
yeah,
it like Metal Gear art or just art in general?
No, it was just like art in general. He was like,
that's hilarious.
And yeah, it was wonderful. I just like popped into the text chat and I was like, you got to do something with those fucking $120 coffee table books. And he was like, yep. But yeah, super, super weird. But yeah, so the game finally came out. Sam, coming off the beta, we had high hopes. Not high hopes, but
like medium
higher hopes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like higher by Creed hopes is essentially.
Yes. When I first started playing the single player, my feelings went from cautious optimism to eye-rolling negativity probably within the first hour and a half.
Yes, because here's the thing about the single player. I played a good chunk, even like after I played a pretty good chunk of the single player before I just gave up and started watching videos. But spoiler alert, after a certain point I gave up and I started watching videos because I could not anymore. Alessio was a better man than I am for finishing this game.
Well, and I'll talk to you guys about the illness of why I finished this game after Sam tells his story, because legitimately there's a weird reason why I finished this game.
But I was actually like into it, like the tutorial section where you first like, obviously the opening cutscene was interesting enough, I guess. It was the Mother Base, the assault on Mother Base, and Snake was there, and it was like, oh, this could be interesting. And then Good Boy starts talking about, or Good Luck, I guess his name is, but whatever. Starts talking about like bullshit, and it's like this weird cutscene where it's like camera footage, like security camera footage. So it's like it like transitions and it's like moving at like a glacial pace because they don't want to animate anything. Apparently.
Oh, I noticed so much of that. There were so many moments where they were like, let's just use still photos in the bottom corner while two talking heads talk.
Yeah, it was just like most of the important, like there were a couple of cutscenes, like actual like animated cutscenes, but like for the most part, most of the cutscene and important information takes place in like a fucking codec conversation.
Yeah, and it's not even like a good codec. It's just like
it's just like pictures of the.
It's like a visual novel. Yeah, it's like
so fucking weird.
It's like cheap visual novel.
But like after that first cutscene, and you wake up and you go into the tutorial, I'm just like, okay, I could get into this, and it was interesting. And then you get out, and then you meet Reeve, who's a dick. He's a dick for like the first half of the game, and then he gets better eventually. But you meet Reeve and you're angry at each other for a second, and then you decide to work together, and you leave the compound you're in, and you like over the horizon you see fucking Mother Base just hanging out.
And this is this isn't even MSF Mother Base. This is fucking Diamond Dog's Mother Base. We'll dive into the story stuff here shortly, but there's problems.
Yeah, and then it does the title card, and then after that I start exploring the wider land, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this sucks, huh?
Essentially, what you just described was like if a group of high school students tried to make Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
It's like you walk out of the building and you have that like Breath of the Wild Fallout Oblivion moment where you're like, oh shit. And then it's like, oh, the rest of the game's bad from here.
Mm-hmm. Because it's just like, I remember, like, I will say Fallout 3, the moment that you walk out of the vault and you see the greater wasteland, you're like, your eyes adjust, you see the greater wasteland. I think that is my like number one. I wish I could go back in time and relive that for the first time again, because it was breathtaking to me. And a lot of games have done that. Some to not a great effect, some to a very good effect, like Zelda did it very, very well. But this game does it, and you're just like, I'm about to walk into some bullshit, huh?
Yeah. Like I almost just want like the logo to pop up and then have like a voiceover line of somebody being like, "Nah, dog, I'm gonna have to say nah to that," and just like walk away. Anyway, so cool. Let's truck through some the sort of other general junk real quick before we get into the main story stuff. So we'll talk about this as we get to the end of the episode, but I think it is extremely unclear. The game was marketed as a spin-off, but the way that the plot handles it, it's almost as if the game is trying to be in canon. So
so weird.
It's trying to be in canon while also distancing itself. The way that I framed this to Sam on the phone before we hopped on for the podcast recording was, this game feels like the development team is a group of like children that found dad's gun and they're just playing with it. Because like no other than the initial cutscene and the decoy item, which is just 100% lifted from MGS5, there is no mention. There is no look, there is no nothing of Big Boss or Solid Snake or MSF. Like, the characters do not acknowledge MSF. They do not acknowledge that there's a Diamond Dogs base that they don't recognize. They don't acknowledge a single fucking thing about Metal Gear at all.
Yeah, it's so strange because like I said earlier, like in the opening cutscene, they're showing that assault on Mother Base, and Snake is in the cutscene
for sure.
And then after that happens, they just pretend that like the rest of Metal Gear doesn't exist.
And presumably, you're dealing with MSF people in parts of this game, So I don't know why none of them are even saying offhandedly like, I wish Big Boss were here, or like, where's our team, or you know what I mean, or like Vic Boss,
Yeah.
or whatever the dumb shit that they would say all the time in the other games. So anyway, so there's that. We'll talk about timeline stuff as we get closer to the end. As we had already mentioned, there's a hunger, thirst, and oxygen system. You don't actually unlock the oxygen thing until a couple chapters into the game, but hunger and thirst kick in immediately, and it is so excruciating right off the bat that if you were not fucking eating and drinking every 20 minutes, you're just gonna die.
Yeah, it's like
No
it gets
human
better
being's body is that way.
No, is that way. I'm just like, this is not how hunger and thirst works. Like, I get like you have to gamify like elements like that if you're going to include a meter like that, but like there's ways to do it that don't make it suck.
Yeah, and I get it. We're in this like alternate dimension, like air quotes, desert hellscape, and so it's like, well, yeah, maybe the elements are harsh on my body, but anyway, essentially,
I literally in my notes I put, it says resource management. There's a category for resource management, and the first bullet is suck with like 8 C's. It's just like SUCCCCC and no K.
yeah.
That's all it is.
It's pretty rough. I think besides all of that, the other thing that I wanted to mention very, very quickly is there are two things. So there is a class and a skill system in the game. So you can level up your character. So there are some like light RPG elements. The problem is that everyone is the same class until they hit level 35. And
apparently there's subclasses.
yeah, and then there are 4
right?
subclasses. However, I beat the
you
game.
didn't hit any of them.
Yeah, I beat the game, and when I finished the game, I was level 33, and I never once saw a fucking subclass. However, in the beta, everybody I think was baseline level 20, and there were subclasses because it had you pick when you started. So yeah, very weird stuff. Besides that, we definitely mentioned the way that side quests kind of articulate. That's both in the, so if you can imagine the way that we described the co-op, the single player is roughly the same thing, but on a larger map. And I think other than that, there are these, the one thing I did want to mention in generalities is there are essentially these containers that you will come across randomly in the world that are effectively just treasure chests. However, there's this dumbass unlocking mini game where effectively you have to lockpick it for like 5 seconds to get into the thing to begin with.
So if you mash the X button, this is on PlayStation, but if you mash the Xbox button while you're doing that, it goes faster.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. However, once you open the container,
you have to open the container.
yeah, you then have to like pull. You have to pull. It's almost like I'm trying to think of how to describe this. It's like you have to pull the lever, and so if you can imagine, it's like like a semicircle. Like imagine the bottom
like
half
a hatch,
of a clock.
Like you're pulling like a hatch.
Yeah. And so what populates on the screen is this like half of a circle that's essentially like the bottom of a clock. And if you can imagine, you're turning the hour hand from left to right, so counterclockwise. But if you can imagine, there's almost like a DDR-esque, like here's where you should be, like shadow underneath the indicator. And if you don't match up with it, you then go extremely slow, and the handle goes like, and everything within like 300 meters of you just flocks to you.
Alerts, yeah.
It's insane.
That's the other thing too. The alert sound from the rest of the game too is in there if anybody sees you.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
correct.
series like that.
Yeah, it's like the only it's like the only thing.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so stupid because so what happens is you're in the shadow and you have to tap R2, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think you hold it. You can hold it or tap it.
You can hold it. Holding it is probably bad because what will happen is the shadow will just stop randomly, and if you're going too fast or you're not going fast enough, it'll stop and you'll bust yourself essentially. So you have to remain in this shadow the entire time. There's no like forgiveness for it. And you get to the end and then you have to get it all the way to the right to 100%. And if you do, you get the treasures, you get the stuff in the box. And if you get seen, then you run. Then you don't get the treasures in the box.
And if you have to back out at any point, you can't. It's not like the lever remains where you left it. You have to do the whole process all over again.
Yep.
It's like a really shitty hacking mini game, I guess. And so this wouldn't be an issue if the containers weren't such a big deal. But check it out. And Sam, I don't know if you experienced this too. You can't unlock new items to craft or new buildings or new armor pieces or new weapons or whatever, kind of organically. Like, it's not like, oh, hey, dog, like, because you know how to build a fence and you know how to build a grenade, you can now build a pistol, or like, oh, you get schematics from completing missions. You can only learn how to build new items from the contents of these containers.
Yes.
And that is it. And it's
there's
random.
No,
it's completely
it would
random.
it would make like sense. Like, okay, you know how to make a fence and you know how to make a barricade or something. So now you can make a fence with barbed wire on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no like logic tree like that. It's just like, okay, here's your campfire, and now you have to have a hanging pot to purify your dirty water, to boil it to make it clean. But you can't do that until you find like the schematics for a hanging pot. And it's just like, what?
Yeah, and the problem with that too is, again, and I believe some of them, like if it's mission specific, I believe that the contents are the same. But I believe in general, the ones that are kind of populated out in the wild, completely fucking random. Yeah. So you might be like, well, like you might be like in my scenario where I didn't get a single gun. And then when I did get a gun, I did not know how to craft bullets for like 15 hours of my game. Yeah. So I literally was just carrying around a gun with no ammunition for like half of my playtime.
Yeah.
It's brutal. So anyway, I just wanted to touch base on that. And it's just, before we dive into the story stuff, I want to explain what I meant when I said like I have a weird illness and this game kind of scratched that itch. So a lot of the same reasons why I enjoy, from time to time, I get these very, very hard cravings for MMOs. So like Final Fantasy 15 or 14 or like World of Warcraft or whatever. Every once in a while, I'll just get these really bad cravings for like, I just want an MMO where I can just kind of grind, listen to music, and like do some dungeon shit or whatever, and just kind of turn my brain off. Very rarely does it happen, but when it does happen, I go down into like an MMO hole for like a month. This game, in a weird way, it was almost like, oh, it scratched the same sort of like grind, unlockable pacing drip that I kind of crave sometimes from MMOs, but it had like the control system and everything of Metal Gear Solid 5. So for me, for some reason, this game, and again, guys, keep in mind, this is a game to be completely honest, this is a game I uninstalled from my PlayStation 4 times before I finished it. However, this game is also a game where, like, at the end of the day, whenever I was exhausted, I could put on some headphones and literally play for 2 or 3 hours before bed and kind of feel like I had kind of chipped away at the mountain of the task at hand. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you unlock like 2 or 3 new weapons. You unlock like 2 or 3 new pieces of armor. You expand your map just a little bit. You add a couple little new things to your base. Like, it kind of scratched the itch that like Peace Walker or the base building in 5 had. But like,
and then halfway through they say fuck you and put you in a new map.
Oh yeah, and so that's the thing is like I just kept having these moments where I was like, man, I'm kind of getting into this. I kind of enjoy this. I don't know why. And then there are so many moments where it almost punishes me for liking the game.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because it's like this game, it's always so close to being so enjoyable, and I think that's what makes it so bad to me, is that like you're so close, but then everything is just like 10 degrees off of good, and it just makes it worse.
It's so weird. And it's almost like so the early game has something that I really enjoyed also about Breath of the Wild, which the early game has this sort of like, you're down to do anything to survive kind of. And I feel like the first 10 hours of Breath of the Wild are the best 10 hours of that game.
Because you just go off and do whatever you want.
Yeah, not only that, but you just like everything is the end of the world. Like, yes. It's that awesome tense feeling where it's like if anything sees me, I'm dead. I need to be creative and I need to use the shit around me. And that's how Survive starts out for the first few hours. But then like you realize that the game is intentionally withholding every fucking verb from you. And so you're just like, wait a minute, like, why am I scrounging when if they just unlocked everything from the get-go, like I wouldn't be tense and I wouldn't be having to like grind right now.
Yeah.
And so it's just like the game does this really shitty job of like giving you the tools that you need early on. And again, like I said, like you finish the game and you go, oh shit, like I finally unlocked everything I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. But anyway, Sam, was there anything else you wanted to throw into generality stuff before we dived into the story stuff?
Just like gameplay stuff, like just how weird the AI is. Like I don't know if it was if you experienced this or not.
Yeah, let's talk about the enemies. What kind of enemies we got?
So first of all, there's a bunch of enemies, and each one is bullshit. First of all,
Yeah.
so
So
you have
each
the
one is
basic
bullshit,
ones-
but you will encounter one 90% times more than any of the other ones.
yes, which is the Wanderers. They're the basic enemy type, the Jolly Rancher zombies.
Yep.
I felt like whenever, and you can either back me up or tell me different, but I felt like whenever I was trying to sneak up behind these guys to stab them and like to just like do a stealth kill, like they turned to face where I was coming at them from. And it's not like they would always see me, like I could like try and sneak around, but it felt like they were always like wandering in my general direction, even though like I wasn't detected.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
Were you standing and walking, or were you crouching?
No, I was
walking?
crouching.
Okay.
When I would sneak up behind him, I would crouch, and it was just like, oh, okay, he's coming at me, so I have to go this way. Oh, he's coming at me again. What the fuck's going on? And then
Spoiler alert for the listeners at home too. By the way, when you crouch walk, you drain stamina.
Yeah, which is okay. Fucking get
And
out
if
of here
you're
with that.
Yeah, and if you're in the dust, which we will get to once we dive into the story stuff, if you're in the dust, your stamina drains like triple speed.
Yep. So it's just like, oh, it's just like a bunch of really great stuff happening.
Yeah.
So
we've got Wanderers.
Yeah, and they're like, they oftentimes, a lot of the times when you're trying to do stuff, they appear in like huge fucking swarms, and it's impossible to sneak past them.
Yeah.
And
It's neat to
thankfully
see
they
that many enemies on the screen, like
Yeah.
in the Fox engine. Like it's kind of dope, but yeah.
But it's just like they abuse it, and it's just like, well, I mean, my MO, my policy, as you know, Alessio, and as some of the listeners will know, is punch everything.
Yep.
And this
Punch it-
game, I was
punch it
just
in the
like,
dick.
this game, I was just like, I hate fighting these things. I don't want to punch everything. I'm going to sneak up and stab them in the head. And there's certain points where it's just, you just can't do that, and it sucks. So you just kind of run past them because they can't catch you. They're not very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you climb up like a ledge, like a waist high ledge, they can't get to you because they can't climb ledges. They can climb over like fences and stuff if they're bent, but they can't climb ledges. So it's just like, okay.
Yeah, so you can get on top of a container and just stab them in the head forever.
Yeah, and also they don't know. You were telling me about this, but if you put like a fence between you and them, they don't know how to go around things.
Yep.
So that's good, I guess.
Yeah, you can literally just drop a fence in the middle of an open field, and they will try to beeline to you and essentially get stuck to the fence like it's like sticky glue or something.
Yeah. And then I find like when I like, and this is another thing we'll get to for the story part, but like when I went to go rescue Miranda, it was a very small area, and I tried to like distract them with like that crystal that explodes. It's not effective in a large group in a small area. So it's just like, what do? You just kind of have to figure it out.
For sure.
But that's the main enemy type, and
They
then
have two weaknesses too, and I just wanted to point this out because I think every enemy has essentially the same weakness, which is like their head crystal, which glows red, and their back has a crystal which glows red. And so if you stab them in the head or the back, you will do critical damage. And so you do get to see like the little health bars, and you do get to see like the little numbers pop up when it's like a critical. It'll be like yellow and big. And so there is like a little bit of like a crunchy kind of tasty factor where it's like, oh, I stabbed this guy in his weak spot. I get to hear like a cool sound and like see the number go up. And they'll they'll flinch, but like the thing that I found the most infuriating about the Wanderers is if you use any fucking melee weapon of any type, they don't stagger. Like, it's not like Dark Souls where you're like, okay, I know that if I lunge with an R2 attack with this broadsword, that this specific enemy is going to like flinch and like kind of take a step back. With these fucking guys,
keep coming.
yeah, and it doesn't even break their animation. So like,
They
if they're
stop coming and they don't stop coming.
if they're mid swing and you're swinging at them with like a huge weapon, unless it's like a sledgehammer and you're doing like some crazy super move, they'll continue to swing at you. So
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I guess because Fox Engine just wasn't fucking built for melee, that wasn't CQC,
They have
you'll
they
just
have
get
a,
swarmed and you're
They have
fucked.
an ability you can unlock where like if they grab you, you can like judo throw them to the ground or something like that.
For sure. But that still doesn't
game-
change that like you're swinging
Yeah,
a knife
they
and
just-
they're going to hit you no matter what.
Yeah, it blows. Yeah, that does suck a lot, and it's weird because like you can hit them directly in the head when they're coming at you, and it won't necessarily kill them. But then like if you catch them when they're on the ground, it'll kill them, and it's just like the rules for what does what kind of damage is super all over the place. And it's funny you mentioned Dark Souls because I put this in my notes too. After you unlock a couple abilities, like there's like a dodge jump move that you can do. It feels like somebody wanted to make Dark Souls but couldn't really figure it all the way out. So
Yeah, because that's kind of how the progression works too. It's almost like you find bonfires, and then the bonfires let you warp back to the main hub. And like, yeah, I guess, yeah, it really does feel like here's a big map with secrets and mysteries and creepy monsters. Go for it. So yeah, it does feel like baby's first Dark Souls.
Yeah, for sure. And then like so that's that. So they have the Wanderers. Then they introduce a bunch of other like bullshit guys. The Bombers, which
Bombers are fun. They're kind of fun.
The Bombers are fun. They made them look like a big bag of Jiffy Pop. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. Somebody's making a little kettle corn on the stovetop.
So you've got the Bombers. I think the next one they introduce is the Watcher, which is like the flying like wasp thing. Fuck them.
I hate those things. Yeah, so essentially it's this like shitty little space robot bird that just has this like laser sticking out of its face.
Yeah,
and if the laser touches you, it sees you and it just shoots these dumbass little projectiles at you that just chip damage you to death that you can't do anything about.
Yeah, so fuck them. Sign me the fuck out. They reminded me of you played Fallout New Vegas, right?
Yeah, I love Fallout.
The fucking Cazadors.
Oh yeah. I think that's a very good
things.
way to frame that. Yeah,
because if you get a bunch of those and you're not prepared for them, they'll just fucking wipe you out, and that's what it kind of felt like. And they're just very annoying.
For sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then we talked about this last night. You're like, I don't think I ever saw them again after this one ruin. But there's this one ruin where there are just like these weird like spider things, and this game betrayed me by doing that.
Oh yeah, are you talking about the crawlers? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, is that what they're? I think so. They were just like, I was climbing a ladder, and then it was just on a wall, and I was like, duh, and it scared the shit out of me.
And there's like 100
bunch
of
them.
Yeah, and they're in a
like,
room.
Nah,
it's like in a room in the basement of like a big building.
And it's like, yeah, and it's like the only time you see them in the game. So I was like, okay, fuck this.
Yeah, they're there, and there's one other spot. The reason why I know what you're talking about is towards the end of the game. In the second map, there was like a side mission for a container close to the actual like main base. And I walked over to it and I was like, oh, well, this is easy. There are no enemies. And then right as I was opening the container, like 50 of those things fell on me.
God, I fucking hate
those things. And the shitty part is all of the enemies, except for the Wanderers, once they get to higher level, give you like garbage Cubone energy for defeating them. And so you're just sitting there. You have to do this shitty like Red Dead Redemption like skinning
you have to skin
animation.
The animal and
and even
like
with the enemies, just to collect their fucking resources, you have to sit there and skin.
They
for
make
like a
it
second.
easier later because you can like put the fucking Fulton extraction thing on them, and like you can extract more Cubone out of them. So they make it easier, and you don't have to do that. But it's just like, why is this a thing that I'm having to do right now?
Yeah, it's like if I'm having to fight for my survival and fight back like 100 zombies, when it's all said and done, please don't make me have to sit there and press square on all 100 dead bodies.
Because you have those fucking like you defend the transporters and stuff, and then at the end they kill everything, and it's just like, okay, well,
those are great.
I can go through and I can like skin everything, but this sucks.
Yeah,
and
well,
I could be spending the 10 minutes it would take me to do all this somewhere else.
For sure. Well, during co-op and during mining defense.
Oh, they just give it to you.
Yeah, when you kill them, they just give you the point. So why couldn't they just have done that for the whole time?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. After those crawler things, there's another enemy they introduced called the Mortar.
Oh,
which,
those
like,
are
launches.
I kind of like them.
Rocks.
Yeah, they're these big. So they're big wanderers. Essentially, they look like beefy boy wanderers, and they've got a big hand, otherwise known as the Nightmare Hand, from Soul Calibur. And what they do is they their Nightmare Hand can shoot almost like Devil Daggers style. Like they can shoot machine gun bullets out of their fingers if you're close. But if you're not close, they just like launch essentially like a grenade. And it also damages their own people. So it's actually kind of neat if you're in like a big group of wanderers and that then you hear like the thunk and then it starts to beep 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 beep. You can actually turn and run and it'll just like kill everything for you.
Yeah.
But they will cover themselves with their big hand and take no damage if you're shooting at them or something. And so
My strong hand.
yeah, you kind of have to like run around them and stab them in the back and stuff. And
That's a really fun thing when you're when a
Yeah.
enemy sees you and you do like a little do-si-do with them to get behind them to stab them. That's fun.
yeah, so there's and there's also like a variant of the mortars, which is the only boss in the single player, which we will talk about.
Yes. So you have the mortar. I think after actually Alessio, immediately after we talked about it, they introduced the grabbers.
Oh, I hate those things. Dude,
Which-
that is like my least favorite enemy in a video game.
If you're walking around in the second there are two maps. There's Middle East and Africa, and when you get to the Africa map, it's a jungle and you're walking around, and out of nowhere this like vine will grab you by the ankle and like trap you in a place, and then it pops out of the ground. It's like this fucking like weird plant tentacle monster.
It's like
fucking gross.
It's a what's it called? What is the Pokemon with the mushrooms on his back? He's a little crab. Paris.
Oh, Paris. Yeah,
it's
Paris
just
and
Paris.
Parasect. Yeah,
But it sucks because it's not cute. It's so
it's
you can
fucking gross.
yeah, you can see it from a distance. It kind of, for me, it gave me like weird, like Bloodborne, like Gantz vibes, where it's
Yeah,
like this
there's a lot of
creepy, unsettling artificial plant, and if you get too
Yeah.
close, you hear like snake hissing sounds.
Yeah, it's
And
not
then
great.
they grab you by the leg, and every time it happened, I was always like either disgusted or frustrated.
Yeah, if you crouch walk, you can sneak up on them.
Oh yeah. But it also drains
yeah,
the shit out
but-
of your stamina. So
yeah,
good luck.
but of course, like it doesn't. Why would you bother with that? Because fuck it. But yeah, they're fucking gross. I think that was the last enemy type I remember seeing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, you didn't talk about the so there's three more. Two of them I think might be multiplayer only, but there's three more regular enemies. One is the Tracer, which is that jumping
the fucking
boy.
yeah, he is in here. He's like a fucking he's essentially like he's got a bigger Jolly Rancher. It's a wanderer with a bigger Jolly Rancher, and they're like super nimble ninja things. And
Yeah, it's like a hunter
that's-
from Left 4 Dead.
yeah, that's what I want to deal with right now.
Yeah, and then the other two are armored. They're just called armored.
Yeah,
and it's just a
armored.
wanderer with bulletproof armor and a helmet. And then the last one I
Are
think
the
was
detonators,
Detonator. Yeah.
But I don't remember seeing any of those. I think those two might be like multiplayer only.
Yeah, I think I saw one armored in single player once, and that was it. But yeah, the detonators, they have like a supply backpack that you can loot for stuff, which is cool. But if they see you, they either blow themselves up or they trigger a bomb. I can't remember.
I think they blow themselves up.
Gotcha. So you have to sneak kill them if you want to steal their shit.
Are those two? There are also two like boss monsters. And I don't know if they're in the single player or not. Like in a
Yeah,
side
they
mission.
are. They are actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So
there's what's his name? There's Frosty Boy, Cthulhu Man,
yeah, Frostbite.
Frostbite, and then there's Big Mouth, which is he's fucking something.
Yeah. So Big Mouth looks like a dinosaur, but he has guns and swords.
Yeah,
So
he
just
like, shoots machine
imagine
guns,
that.
and then, like, he has like a giant fucking mouth he'll just do like a couple like steps while he'll just like grab in front of him, and he'll just like step forward, and when you're close he like shoots machine guns at you. And then Frostbite is this like weird
Disturbing.
Cthulhu tentacle monster. It's very upsetting. Me and Alessio were playing a multiplayer mission. It was a rescue mission, and it was just there, and we were just like, what the fuck is that? And it's just like this weird like Cthulhu tentacle thing that shoots ice beams.
It's very gross.
and yeah, it's not the best. So
Yeah, the tentacles and shit. So yeah, and so I do want to say between the creature designs and the tentacles on that guy, and then the fact that the whole time that you're in this main play area, it looks like you're underwater if you look
Yeah.
up at the sky. So there's a very weird vibe of like, and I know that this led to a lot of conspiracy theories before Survive came out, but there's this very weird like we're lifting shit from Death Stranding and Silent Hill kind of vibe going on the whole time.
yeah. Well, it's just like that. It's just like in these creatures too. It's just like there's something off about like what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, but cool. So I guess with all that out of the way, Trying to
Talk
think
about
if
a
there's anything
stupid
else.
fucking story.
Oh, real quick.
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead. I got one thing. You go ahead.
Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to mention is not only is there food and thirst meters, but you actually, up until a certain point when you can build farms on your base, you do actually have to by hand hunt and kill animals, skin them, and then use their parts for food, soups, or medicine.
Yes.
And all those things are mutually exclusive, so if you're starving to death but you also have a broken leg, joke's on you, good luck, pick one.
Which is dumb. My thing was collecting items sucks.
Oh yeah, so if you played MGS5 and you love the parts where you hold square to steal items from other base, that's pretty much what this game is.
Yeah, it's just like why, and it's just like there's like a long list. There's like 5 things, and you have to hold down square to collect all 5 of them. It's just like, why isn't there just like a collect all button?
Yeah, you also have to unlock a perk in order to collect faster.
Yeah, which is super dumb. And it's just like when you go into a building and there's like a shelf full of shit, and the captain is just like swinging his or her arm like wildly, just like grabbing all this other stuff, just like, and it's just like this. My time could be spent better right now.
Yeah, essentially it's a Roomba simulator.
Pretty much, yeah. And then like, of course, the sounds that you make when you're eating and drinking, which have been bad. Admittedly, have been bad since Metal Gear Solid 3. So,
give me some more. But yeah, so I think that's about it. I know we're a little over an hour into recording, so if
fuck it.
No, yeah. So like if that's any indicator, this game is extremely systems heavy because we're an hour into recording, but I could probably summarize the entire plot of this game in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes if I was like speed talking. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the game. The unfortunate news is that if you want to buy this game and you want to dive into the multiplayer, which is less resource collecting and way more action based, like Sam alluded to, single player and multiplayer are kind of connected, but not only in the resources that you expend, but in the fact that features for multiplayer will not unlock until you finish parts of the single player. Yeah. And likewise, you will more than likely, from the moment you unlock multiplayer, until you get to the proper level, you'll more than likely not be able to play co-op until you are close to finished with the game, because it wasn't until I was in the home stretch that I was even high enough level to play the easy mode co-op missions.
Yeah, I was I remember we played multiplayer a little bit before this episode, not today obviously, but like a week or two ago. And I was a little underleveled because I was behind. I hadn't played a lot because like it's very easy to think I'm gonna play Survive today and then see another game on your menu. And or I'll play Burnout Paradise instead. And it's just, so it's very easy to do that. But I was underleveled and we had virtually no options for what we were doing, and it was just like the only like defense mission I had available was like everything was level 20 and I was like level 9, and I couldn't like fight anything legitimately, so I would just like go do the side missions and like sneak up behind like bombers and stab them in the back when I could. And it was just like you're not giving us a lot of options. Like it would be better multiplayer would have been so much cooler if it was just like, okay, these are 2 separate things, separate resources, you can do whatever from the beginning. If you're playing a level like an easy mode level, people you're playing with who are like higher level than you will scale down, so it's more fun for everybody. But they just made like a bunch of like bonkers decisions and didn't do that,
which is weird because the game even got delayed. So I guess I just don't understand, because like if the Fox engine, because like spoiler alert, this game uses like literally almost every fucking asset from MGS5. Including the Metal Gear itself from MGS5.
Yeah,
so there's
Sahelanthropus is just like hanging out.
And so like if they had the engine and they had every single asset, essentially I feel like the entire development cycle was just, let's figure out how to art design these unique character models, and then the alternative thing to that was, let's program the missions and the AI and the logic and all that stuff and the flags for all these events. So what I don't understand is like, how the fuck did they not have a team of programmers, and then a team of like QA people and designers. I mean, this game had a director, it had a scenario writer, it's hard to tell by looking at the credits. It actually has a lot of the same names as MGS5, but I don't know if that's because of the work that was done on 5 and how much was lifted. But regardless, like it's a little baffling that
It feels like
Konami
a lot
was
of, like-
shipping a Metal Gear game that they're not actually going to put effort into.
Yeah, well, it feels like a lot of like decisions were brought in from higher up in Konami, because you remember when the game first came out, people found that like secret message, like Kojima Forever, like whatever it was.
Yeah, so
Like-
if you look at the very beginning, and we're actually about to talk about the scene in the very beginning, there is somebody looking at a clipboard, and the first letter of every name on the clipboard actually spells out Koji Pro Forever. And then the last 2 names listed are like Mosquito, and then I think it's
Bastard Yoda.
yeah,
or
it's
something
like
that.
Bastard and Cunning, and the Bastard and the Cunning names are the names of the producer and director of the game.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's a developer talking shit about the producer and director and talking good about Kojima Productions, or if the message was put there by the director and the producer, and they're like jokingly referring to themselves as cunning bastards. But regardless, that's there. And just to stop people before they at me on Twitter about this, yes, the Koji Pro Forever names were in a side mission in Metal Gear Solid 5, but here they are very directly highlighted and focused.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Sam, you want to talk about this garbage story?
Yeah, let's talk about the garbage story.
Okay. So, Sam, you already kind of alluded to a bunch of this stuff, but effectively, and again, this is how the game was pitched before it came out, this is a weird spin-off alternate reality version. I know we have yet to cover Ground Zeroes or Peace Walker or 5 on the show, so I apologize. But for those of you who are familiar with Ground Zeroes or the beginning of 5, effectively, Big Boss and Kazuhira Miller, who is Master Miller from Metal Gear Solid 1, Big Boss and Miller... Big Boss and Miller are working together. They're coming back from a mission. Their whole team's coming back, and they're coming back to their little base that's like built out off the coast in this little sort of island. And as they're showing up, there's huge explosions. It turns out that this UN team that was coming in to investigate and do just a typical kind of walkthrough of the facilities was actually a cover-up for somebody who was there to kill Big Boss and his team.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But where this diverges is in Ground Zeroes and 5. The helicopter goes down. Miller and Big Boss end up in a coma. I guess Big Boss, not Miller, but whatever. People are hospitalized. A lot of time goes by. The legend rides again. But in this version of events, Big Boss's helicopter goes down. Blah blah blah. Same as always. However, a wormhole opens up above the base as it's being destroyed and just starts sucking up people.
Yeah. Which, if you played Metal Gear Solid 5, doesn't happen.
The weird fucking part about this, though, is the game doesn't quite know if it should start there or then start in this new weird thing. So what happens is, we see people get sucked up through the wormhole. You very easily could have just jumped into the beginning of the game at that point. However, what they decide to do is we jump to the next day.
Yeah.
The UN has sent an aid team to, I guess, figure out who's dead. I don't know why. They're there.
Introducing Good Boy.
Introducing, this is the only time I'm gonna say his name accurately. Introducing Good Luck. Who is the only other black character in the Metal Gear universe that isn't Fortune's family related or Sigint related.
Yeah. Pretty much. And they wind up introducing a couple other ones later.
Oh, and I guess and Drebin related. So we got our 3. We got our 3 flavors. But yeah, so we've got Good Boy, and he's going through the list. The list says like whatever, Koji Pro forever. And essentially he's like, oh no, don't. And they've got everybody lined up on coffins or in coffins, which is really weird. I'm not quite sure what's happening. I guess they're just reusing the coffin assets from MGS5. But anyway, so
we got these we got these coffins. What can we do with them? I'll just put them in there somewhere in the beginning.
Yeah, so your introduction to the game is from the perspective of somebody who's lying in a coffin, presumably dead. But then Good Boy effectively like hangs out over your body and says, no, I want to keep this one. And essentially from this point forward, I kind of lose track with what's going on. Like,
so I think the whole thing is like you wind up you're infected with this like thing that turns people into wanderers.
Yeah. So good night and good luck essentially tells you, because we see all the other MSF soldiers get sucked through the wormhole. Your character, who becomes called the captain, has their arm cut off by the wormhole. Is that correct?
Is that or?
I don't
anyway, remember. It's something. So essentially, what happens is that you get a fucking liquid snake arm that like every like 8 hours bugs you in the game, and you're put into this like John Goodman puts you into this like place, this like weird place. And since you're infected with this thing, you're there, and your job is to like collect data or something like that. But yeah. So and then Goodnight essentially keeps talking to you, and so the weird thing that ends up happening is, so effectively, what you need to know is that you get talked to about wormhole technology. You get sent through a wormhole to this place called Dite. Cutscenes. Yeah, Dite allegedly is this like weird blasted hellscape alternate dimension that they've quote unquote discovered, but there's a Diamond Dogs base there. You're in Afghanistan, and for whatever reason you run into this fella named Reeve, who Sam alluded to. Yeah, well, here's the weird thing. The game refers to him as a Zoff soldier, like an XOF soldier. Yeah. What doesn't make any fucking sense though is that the MSF was on that base. The XOF guys were the guys there to kill the MSF people that were sent by Skullface. Yes. And Reeve is a bad guy then. Yes. Like Reeve was like hanging with Quiet and all them. Yeah. Yeah, Reeve I picked that up too. It's just like, yeah, this guy I shouldn't like or trust this guy at all.
Well, yeah, but then everybody becomes best buds. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's weird, but whatever.
So anyway,
you meet him, and then he like aims his gun at you for a minute, and then Goodbye chimes in on the chat, and is just like, hey, and he explains everything that's going on, like I think again.
Yeah, so Good's got to tell you what's going on. And I will say, I think there is one quick thing. Essentially what he alludes to is that they're using the crystals that the wanderers and the creatures are made out of to have this like insane energy that they can use to power everything in our world. And so the big thing is that Reeve wants to leave, you want to leave, but you can't because you're trapped there until you can send a ton of energy to John Goodman.
John Goodman. So you escape this building, and then they do the aforementioned title card, bad Fallout play, whatever thing.
Yeah, shitty font.
And then you make your way over to what will essentially be your base camp, and out of nowhere, my favorite character, Mom and Dad Virgil, comes rocketing out of nowhere.
Well, and just for you guys to know too, so it's essentially the AI tank that the boss's consciousness exists in within MGS5 and Peace Walker. It's like one of those like cylinder AI
with like the eye, like the glowing eye in the middle of it. Yeah. So you're just like hanging around. There's just like empty space, and you're looking, and then this fucking thing just rockets out of nowhere and lands and introduces itself. And its name is Virgil, and it has two voices. One is like a digital woman, and one is a digital man. And over the course of the game, I took to calling Virgil Mom and Dad. because like you become emotional, like everybody becomes emotionally connected to
For
this
some fucking
AI.
reason.
It's so stupid, like to
Yeah.
the point where like close to the end of the game, like everybody, I'm just gonna jump over there for a second. Like everybody decides to stay behind instead of going home, because they don't want to leave this fucking AI behind.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, what kind of bullshit is this?
Yeah, it's very weird. But yeah, so essentially, the one thing that we didn't touch on too is that GG, his group is called Charon Corps, which Charon is like the boatman, the
boatman, ferryman of death,
of Death Town. Yeah,
ferries you to the afterlife.
yeah, and I definitely 100% want to say, if you haven't played MGS5 Ground Zeroes or Peace Walker, I'm sorry that we just made a bunch of nonsensical references, but that's pretty much the extent to which this game has anything to do with those games.
Yeah, like
So you should be good now.
We explain those like little details, and then we'll obviously when we get to the Metal Gear Solid 5 season, you'll get more information about it. But like that's it. Like they're reusing assets for the sake of reusing assets in this game. That's all. That's the only reason why like this is how this is, or this is how this is.
Yeah, it's like somebody made a mod using Metal Gear Solid 5. Cool. So the last thing I wanted to mention is, so Virgil's internal memory is fucked, and she needs memory boards to remember, and they're supposed to be your support unit, and so it sort of behooves you to bring its memories back online, so that these are the sort of shitty narrative reasons why you are missing functionality. Like you can't build anything in your base for a very long time. You can't do very specific game tasks until you bring these memory boards, and the AI just remembers how to do it, which is really dumb.
This game, every important mission in this game is either a fetch quest or defend the camp quest.
It's either escort or fetch, essentially,
Yeah,
which
pretty
is
much,
shitty. So anyway, but then we get introduced to the dust or whatever. So before we get into the dust, we're going to go through this chapter by chapter, but very quickly, because the chapters are very simple to explain. There's 20 chapters total, even though the game told me I was on chapter 24 when I finished it, but the guides that I found all at least IGN's outlined that there were 20. So I used that when building my notes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so chapter 1 is pretty much what we just said. There's a bunch of cutscenes. The character creation happens in the middle of this, so you can create your own character, but it's pretty much just the same character creation from Metal Gear Online.
Yeah.
Chapter 2, you get to the base for the first time. You learn about clean water versus dirty water, which is fucking awful. If you drink dirty water, you have like 1 in 5 of a chance to get like
cholera,
intestinal sickness. Yeah, which means like all that means is like you can't get past 70% on your thirst meter until you get rid of your illness.
Yeah.
And there's a shit ton of dirty water, but until you can build like water purification systems at your base, like it's really hard to find clean water.
Yeah. Like literally, you have to unlock a way to figure out how to put a pot above a campfire to boil water.
Yeah,
That's what they do to you.
correct. Also in chapter 2, you kill some sheep and use their food, their body for food. There's the wanderer hunting, which we talked about. The Kuban energy is the energy source that they.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest name, which is weird because apparently in one of the Armored Core games, I discovered that the energy source is Kojima energy. So I wish they would have just leaned into that. But anyway, so yeah, you learn how to build a spear. You learn about stab. You can stab only spears and arrows and bullets through fences, nothing else. And you go find some data for Virgil. There are multiple data points, I think, in this chapter 2. So there's actually 3 data points. And after you get all 3 data points, you find the air tank for you to use to enter the dust. Sam, what the fuck is the dust?
Oh my god, the dust is, man. Do you want me to say what the dust actually is?
Yeah, there's no we're not using any sort of dramatic cinematic pacing here, so I think we can probably the dust is the Wanderers is the Lord of Dust. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, it's all these things. So the dust is, they explain later, a mutation of our medical nanomachines that have developed a consciousness and wants to take over the world and become one consciousness.
So the zombies and the dust and everything are fucking nanomachines. So it's nanomachines again.
It's nanomachines, of course. But like on a more like high level, like surface explanation, the dust is essentially this like area where it's super foggy, and for some reason they don't put your fucking icon on the map to let you know where you are on the map. and
It's like it's like chaff grenade forever.
yeah, pretty much.
Effectively.
There's like you can only unlock parts of the map by like walking and being like in them. The only way you can mark things, you have to like craft these like beacon flags and shit like that. So it's super stupid. But it's essentially a place where you go where you have one new resource to manage, which is your oxygen. It's super foggy. You can barely see anything.
It's Silent Hill.
Yeah, it's Silent Hill. There's a bunch of monsters in there. Your stamina drains super fast. And it's where most of the shit you have to do happens, of course. So yeah, that's what the dust is. So you go into the dust, and a lot of these missions, you're finding memory boards until you unlock like a distress signal, and then that's your first rescue mission. And you have to go in and you find this like downed chopper, I think it is, and you have to rescue Miranda, who is a nurse.
Which doesn't make any sense because there's a down chopper, but then when you get to where she's at, there's actually a wrecked ambulance on the rocks. I don't know if you noticed that. So how'd she get there?
Yeah, it's so weird. They don't really explain how any of them get there. They just kind of mysteriously fall into the world. It's so strange.
Yeah, and so periodically, so besides Miranda and Reeve, there are some other support characters that we're going to talk about here in a split second. But you essentially talk to the characters at your base to get side missions on your map. And then some of those side missions will happen to be other survivors for you to bring to your base. And
which
essentially,
are like their names are like the mother base.
Yeah,
people you can unlock like Hardy Boulder and like shit like that.
Yeah, and essentially you one at a fucking time level up your base to just do the same shit that you did in Peace Walker and all that stuff.
Right. And it's and can I say about Miranda, whoever that voice actress is, every time she speaks, she sounds like she's on the verge of crying.
Oh yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, and I will for better or worse, this game's got anime aesthetic like a motherfucker, specifically with the characterization of the personalities.
Yeah, there's a character later that we'll get into, Seth, who calls you partner a bunch.
Oh god,
and I'm just
got flashbacks to Pardner. Hey
Pard. That's Monster Hunter for anybody who doesn't know. But he calls you partner a bunch. I'm just like, I don't like you. This isn't an anime. Quit calling me partner.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why I didn't trust Seth.
For sure. Moving forward, chapter 6, we just covered a bunch of chapters. Chapter 6 is the first interior sort of dungeon quest, which is what Sam was describing with the crawlers.
Yeah, that's where the crawlers were in one of those.
I will say this, the ruin design and like looting these Resident Evil as fuck looking labs underground is actually kind of fun. It's just it only happens like 2 or 3 times in the whole game.
Yeah, the ruins, I think if I liked doing like the ruins, I wish I wouldn't have had to manage my fucking oxygen the entire time.
For sure.
I like doing the ruins. It was really cool because like those places are the places where you can just like set traps and like sneak and do like stealth and stuff like that, and it works pretty great. And I remember at the bottom of the first one, you get down to the place where you're supposed to go to get the memory board, and there's just a fucking bomber hanging out, and it was like, oh fuck, like it was properly intense. And that's like one of the things where it's just like, this is cool, and then you play more of the game and you're like, oh god, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, and the game's like, you should hate me, this isn't cool, and you're like, no, but I'm trying to like you. Yeah, so chapter 6 is also when we meet the Lord of Dust.
Oh, jeez, that scared the shit out of me. You do this ruin, and you get the thing, and you're walking out of the building, and then all of a sudden, this fucking giant-ass weird thing you can't quite see totally, but it's fucking huge, just shows up, and you're just like, what the fuck is that? I felt like I was in Bloodborne.
Yeah, it was like a huge Bloodborne boss. Well, here's the cool thing. So there is like a dumbass cutscene in chapter 6. It's just like, look over here. But before that point, I think around chapter 5, if you're like, again, like running around trying to restock your shit just so you can take the next mission. If you're in this section of the dust, you can just encounter it. Like you just see it and hear it before there's like an official introduction to it. And
so
that's
like
super.
So like
creepy.
leaving the building is scripted. Like scripted to be there, but like you're saying like you could just run into it before that.
Yep, because I actually ran into it a bunch before that cutscene, and
God.
I know, and it was super cool because I was like, oh my god, like is there shit like this just always out here? And it just made the
That's
game
why-
really cool and spooky. But then when you realize like that's the only thing,
Yeah.
and it just kind of goes away after chapter 6 until it comes back for the story, I was like, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying, Sam?
No, I was just gonna say that would be like it would have been cooler. Like the thing about this game that like I miss from other Metal Gear games is like the wacky fucking bosses.
Oh yeah, like so Sam and I were talking before recording. If this game took on like a Saints Row 3 or Saints Row 4
Yeah,
kind of a
just fucking
approach of like
wild.
fuck everything,
We're not taking ourselves seriously.
it could have been
Here's
great.
this.
Like if it was
Yeah.
Dead Rising 2 of Metal Gear, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm fucking driving a dirt bike and then Genola fucking shows up and does battle with the Lord of Dust, and then I'm just like fighting zombies with a katana, I would have loved this.
Yeah, and this is what I was telling you too before we started recording. I guess like in the multiplayer, there's something you can unlock where you can summon Metal Gear Ray to like attack zombies. It's just like more of this, more of that.
Yeah,
Please.
Like, yeah, dude, you have complete and total, for better or worse, you have complete
Yeah.
and total use of anything Metal Gear. Why
For
the
sure.
fuck are they not using it? Because like we said, other than the shit at the very beginning and then the Sahelanthropus tie-in that happens later on, there's not really anything Metal Gear at all about any of this.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, chapter 7, you travel from base to base for whatever reason. I found a Jeep in chapter 7. It was the first time I ever
Yeah.
found a vehicle. Can we talk about the weird vehicle degradation? Real quick?
So here's the thing. I never drove any like Jeeps. I found the Walker Gear.
Well, I think it happens with the Walker Gear too. Anything electronic,
yeah.
it just falls apart.
Yeah, it does, and it happens in the multiplayer too. It's like the longer you're using it, like it just starts like the Walker Gear. I noticed in the multiplayer, and in the single player, you're walking along shooting, and then like it just becomes on fire.
Yeah, for
Like,
no
after a
reason.
amount of time. It's just like okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
You got a little too much dust up in your servos or something, I guess.
Yeah, like you get these moments of fun, and then the game again is like, "Oh, I see you're having fun. Let's blow your vehicle up," and it's like,
It was
okay.
it was funny because I was playing the game and I found the Walker Gear and I was just like mowing down guys and I'm just like, you know what? I wish that that this was a game where I was just in like a powerful mech shooting a bunch of like weak enemies, and then I realized that was just Zone of the Enders. So
Jeez. Anyway, after I found the Jeep, you find this digger, which is like this big white. We talked about it in the co-op mission. It's like a big white sort of terraforming technology that like drains energy from the ground. Anyway, you find it and you bring it back to your main base. And so chapter 7 is the first time that I realized that you need to build the defenses around your base because your main base gets attacked. Only in the story mode. I don't know if it gets attacked post-game at random, but during the
Right.
main game, it's only during certain missions.
there, after you beat the game, I think Mom and Dad tells you that you can launch the digger from the base.
Oh, yeah, whenever you
you
want.
want. Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, so essentially you defend the base. It's not hard. It's 3 quick waves. What I did was I cheesed this by building fucking chain link fences around the entire base. And then I just chilled behind the fence and stabbed anything that showed up with a spear.
Yeah. Here's what I like about defending the base against like the transporters and stuff like that. Is that the transporters I hated. Like I feel like defending the transporters was like a punishment for some kind of sin I committed in a previous life or something like that. Because it's just like it's a very small area. You have like multiple points of entry. You don't have a lot of resources. You have whatever you have on you to play with, and then that's it. And again, it gets better as you progress through the game and you get more stuff and you are understanding more. But like the first couple of times you do it, it's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever left one without being like bloody.
Yeah, I guess. Well, one thing it just dawned on me that we did not talk about at all is we were talking about how it's sort of like you find a bonfire and you can warp back to the hub, blah blah blah. However, this game, the way that it treats the bonfires is every time you find a new teleporter, you effectively it'd be like if in Dark Souls every time you found a new bonfire, if it was like, all right, dog, protect the bonfire for 3 minutes while we just funnel enemies at you.
Yeah, which is just like, why is this a thing that you're doing to me?
Yeah, it's like I need this for respite. I'm dying. Why are you making me like fight to the death for the next 3 minutes.
Because the thing about like at around the point that you're doing the unlocking and defending the transporters is you've probably used a bunch of resources just to get there. So you're working with limited resources, trying to defend multiple points of entry against this like wave of enemies for like a minute and a half, and it's just like this sucks. You know,
and if they destroy the teleporter as well, you don't get a second chance until you leave and come back like a full day later.
Yeah, so it's just like this is not good. The one thing I will say is that if you do successfully defend once the timer ticks down, it'll blow up and everybody around you will be dead. So that's cool.
Yeah,
but
it's also fun to see it happen.
Yes, but like the just the everything about it is the worst.
Yeah. The other cool thing too is you can lop off limbs of every enemy in the game, which is pretty sick. If you hit them really hard with certain things. So anyway,
I do like defending the base because you actually have access to your like they give you like small points of like respite. So you have chance to like repair your base and craft new things and things like that because you're just there.
You get like a few minutes.
Things.
Yeah, you can also build like gun turrets and stuff like that, which is super cool. But yeah, so and then chapter 8 opens, and in my opinion, I think chapter 8 is like the first chapter in which like the game is kind of like for the most part making itself available to you. So you effectively have most of the verbs you're going to have for the game, and you unlock at least the first few co-op missions. So, but again, chapter 8, you're in the dust, you're defending a digger. This is pretty much the rest of the game from now on. Chapter 9 is another rescue mission like the Miranda one, except this time it's a kid named Chris, who, and this is also where we meet the flying bug laser fellas that we were talking about.
And Chris needs a wheelchair.
Yeah, which we discover in the next chapter. So Reeve, being good guy Reeve, says, "Hey, bring me back some parts to make a wheelchair." And so
this is where Reeve like starts to take a turn, where he's less of a dick and more of like a character, like somebody that you could actually like be friends with.
Pretty much, yeah. You also get
his like moment.
Yeah. And you get another memory board in like an interior dungeon like we were talking about, but this also unlocks the expedition team, which I hardly ever used. But it's like a team of 4 that you can send out to collect supplies and stuff like that. So you just send them on missions.
Here, when Chris was rescued, it was when I noticed that the captain just fucking judo throws everybody that he rescues onto the ground.
Oh yeah, it's the same cutscene. It's the same cutscene. They just replaced the character model.
They just let them sit up and they sit cross-legged, and then they activate the fucking codec message and you talk to them. But like he's like, even Chris, like he just takes them from like he or she, because you can create your gender avatar. He or she will take them from the the fireman carry that they're doing, and then just fucking like drop them on the ground. Just like, dude, this is a crippled child.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
bananas.
And he just does it to everybody.
Yeah, it's not great. Chapter 11, we save another dude. I think this guy's named Nicholas. Yeah.
I feel like I should like Nicholas, but I definitely do not like Nicholas.
Oh, Nicholas is another new black man. So
another new black guy.
There's a lot of there's some diversity in this game.
Chris is also a black child.
Yeah, so Chris is a black child who can't use his legs. So Chris is Drake from Degrassi. Nicholas is just like a normal dude, and then we've got Miranda, the nurse.
Nicholas is a cop.
Oh, that's right. Nicholas is a cop. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and when you're walking, and when you're going to find him, like he's on the radio, and he says, "Do me a favor and hide if I die, hide the magazines that are under my bed." I do
remember that. That was very stupid. That was like the only Metal Gear humor in the game.
And it was the first time. I was like, that's why I agreed with Reeve, because Reeve was like, "Should we really be sticking our necks out for this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I agree."
Jesus. One thing we forgot to mention is there are these like secret collectible boxes that have like crystal pedestals that you'll encounter in the wild. And when you shoot them, I've discovered, so like you just have to break them. So it doesn't matter how far away you are. So usually you just shoot them with an arrow or something. But I've discovered that 99% of the time they pretty much just give you like weird color variations of armor. Or they unlock music for you to use, because you can build a broadcast tower and broadcast music around your base.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. There's like remixes of like old Metal Gear music and things like that.
Yeah, a bunch of Castlevania music, which is pretty sick. And then some Police Knots music and stuff like that. So the music selection's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially you get some story cutscenes with this Nicholas guy. Chapter 12 is essentially a multiplayer mission done solo.
Yeah, which I was just like, why?
Yeah. And then once you knock this out, you then can take a new digger to your main base again. I'm not sure, but you decide that like, oh, let's try to go home. Everybody wants to go home. Let's try to go home. So chapter 13, you open this huge wormhole. Everybody's like, yay, we get to go home. Then the Lord of Dust shows up and just fucks shit up.
So there's a very critical piece about why the Lord of Dust showed up. Because you open up a small wormhole and
I forgot about this.
You get contacted by Gruen, who is the other guy at the beginning of the game who was like combating Good Day.
He's Good Day's boss.
Good Mission. He's Good Mission's boss.
Yeah.
And he comes in. He's like, "Oh, you open this wormhole, so now I can contact you." Good Man is he's like in prison or something, or he's like in custody or something because this is a unilateral mission decisions. And I'm just like, I don't like you. I do not like you, Gruen.
I do not like you, Green Gruen and Ham.
Yeah. And he's telling you, he's just like, okay, I'm going to be your support now. And he's the one who tells you about the iris energy you need to activate the wormhole to make a wormhole to go home.
I never quite understood. Is iris energy different than Kuban energy?
Yes, it is. It's a different kind. I don't know exactly how or why, but it is. And apparently iris energy is what's needed to power the digger so it can activate wormholes. And I don't know where or why that couldn't have just been Kuban energy, but whatever. But Gruen tells you that the power output of the digger needs to be even higher in order to make a wormhole that will be strong enough to bring you home. And Virgil's like, hey, no, don't do that. This is fine. And Gruen's like, don't listen to mom and dad. Don't listen to Virgil, because Good Man tampered with Virgil and he's the bad guy.
Good Boy's really a bad boy.
Yeah. And everybody, and I felt bad for Virgil at this point. He and she, mom and dad, was just like fighting futilely just to like convince everybody, and everybody one by one like turns on Virgil and just like, no, we should do this. And then Virgil eventually is just like, we will do what you think is best, and they just give up. And they turn the power up, and when you activate the digger, it attracts wanderers and bad guys. And because they turn the power output up so high, they summon the fucking Lord of Dust.
And also, I think the portal is big enough for the Lord of Dust to get through.
Yes.
And I think that's the other thing is like...
Yeah, they explain a little bit later that it was a plot by Gruen because he wanted the Lord of Dust to come through so he could get the energy from the Lord of Dust. And so like for shit. So it's just like, okay, fucking asshole.
And again, we don't know what Gruen looks like. And this is all happening through like profile pictures on Facebook.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like Gruen's, like it wasn't even like a profile picture of Gruen. It's just like
it's
logo
like a question mark.
Like,
yeah.
It's like a logo for some agency. It's just like, oh, okay.
But yeah, so effectively this is the same thing as the Chapter 7 situation where you're kind of defending your base, except Lord of Dust shows up, and I believe it's either a couple waves of normal base defense before Lord of Dust shows up or vice versa. I think it is a couple waves of regular. It's like 3 waves of regular base defense. Lord of Dust shows up, and then it becomes this like sort of scripted sprinting through the Diamond Dogs base to get to the top.
What pissed me off about this, because like, so you're at the bottom, and the fucking captain with Chris on his shoulder, a crippled child, is just staring at the Lord of Dust instead of running. And I'm just like, fucking move. And then he starts moving, and then the Lord of Dust fires a thing that explodes the base.
Yeah, it like shoots a mouth cannon. It fucking fires lasers.
Yeah, it fires his Dr. Octopus. Fires his laser at the base and knocks the captain and Chris out, and then the captain wakes up and the Lord of Dust is just on top of the base.
Yeah, it's very crazy.
I'm just like, and maybe if you wouldn't have been staring at it for 30 seconds, you might have been able to make it to the top before it showed up.
Yeah, so effectively, you guys finally do get through the wormhole. However, for whatever reason, the wormhole didn't actually take you home. It shits you out on the Africa map from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
and I was livid.
You get Chris into the wormhole, and then Virgil fucking comes in and rockets you through the wormhole.
Yeah.
And then here's where we'll get to why you were livid here in a second, because it's pretty obvious this game gives you a fucking middle finger right around here. But here's where I started to get suspicious, because when you make it to this second map, Virgil plays a recorded message from good job,
From Good Luck and Good Night.
Yeah, from Good Luck and Good Night. From Good Job.
Good Charlotte.
Yeah, explain. I haven't thought about Good Charlotte in many moons. But explaining like the situation, but it says, could you guys not move for a second? And then the arm, because the portal chopped off the Lord of Dust's arm and it went through the portal with them. The arm falls out of the portal and lands on the ground and doesn't hit any of them because good God, good mercy.
Good.
Good tells you not to move. And I'm just like, how the fuck did this recording know that they shouldn't move? Like, this is a very specific thing that happened. Spooky. It's almost as if he's lived this before.
I with that line of thought, who died, do you think, the first time?
Oh shit, I don't know. Probably Nicholas, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
He's kind of an idiot.
But yeah, so essentially, I think the coordinates were off, or like insert plot device for why we're not home here. And it was like we didn't have enough energy by 1 point or some dumb shit.
Well, no, he planned it because.
That's right.
Because
I forgot.
his mission,
so goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire sent us here instead.
Yeah, he wanted to destroy the Lord of Dust, and the tool that you need to kill the Lord of Dust is here in Africa.
It's in Dite, Africa.
It's in Dite, Africa.
Space Africa.
Yeah, Space Africa. And it winds up, you do a bunch of stuff, and it winds up being fucking Metal Gear, of course.
Oh, yeah. It's always. And nobody goes, Metal Gear.
Yeah, nobody says it. So we end up in this new map, and you are infuriated.
Yeah, I'm infuriated because you end up in this new map, and you lose access to all of your base stuff. And so I had put in all this time to have all this dope shit, and now I can't build anything or harvest. Here's the big thing, guys. I had 120 baked potatoes waiting for me, and I never got hungry ever. And then I came to Africa, and I was like, oh, fuck, I've got to play this game like it was at the beginning again.
Yeah.
Because I hate monitoring. Yeah, I hate monitoring fucking meters. Like, I can't play The Sims because the piss meter gives me anxiety. And so I literally just collect as many things as I can to make sure I never have to worry about the meters, ever.
Yeah.
And then I had to now. So, anyway. So we end up in Africa, and they're like, we should probably scout it out, blah, blah, blah. So chapter 14. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good God, good mercy tells you there's a member of the Karen Corps who knows about the key to unlocking the weapon that you need to kill the Lord of Dust. So you go out searching, and you find this like shack, and this crazy guy with a shotgun is just like freaking out, and then your fucking liquid arm acts up, and you make noise. Yeah,
your liquid arm that we had forgotten about for 10 hours now.
This thing that's not a plot, like not a plot device until like right now, starts acting up. And they explain why it's acting up a little bit, but it starts acting up, and then this crazy guy shoots a shotgun at you, but it misses, and he runs away, and then he's threatening this guy that's sitting on the ground, and then you look at the guy, and it's this guy that they knew you wouldn't remember from the beginning of the game, who is apparently somebody that was on Mother Base with you.
Yeah, and so they show him like 100 times. Like, they show like a flashback and blah, blah, blah. And his name is Seth.
Yeah, his name is Seth.
And I don't know if you noticed this, Sam. Dan is an obscenely white man who inexplicably has like a stereotypical Asian accent.
No. So when he first introduced, we were first introduced to Dan, who was the crazy guy with the shotgun, I thought he sounded Russian. So when they revealed his name was Dan, I was disappointed because I was expecting like a Dmitri or an Ivan or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you after you rescue Seth, you go on another mission to transport Sahelanthropus back to base, and
because
Dan
Metal Gear.
shows because Metal Gear, and Dan shows up, and then he starts talking more, and I had a really hard time tracking his accent because it sounded like a cross between some form of Asian accent and like a crazy Spanish accent.
It's like if anybody has seen Annihilation, the Natalie Portman film, Oscar Isaac for some reason in one scene has an inexplicable Southern accent that does not show up in any other part of the movie. Like it's kind of like that. It's very weird.
Oh man, yeah, it's just so fucking strange. It's just like I don't know. I guess Asian or like he just like talks really angry and really crazy. He just sounds like a mix between like an Asian and a Spanish accent, and I couldn't track it at all. I was just like, what are you trying to do here, dude?
Yeah, you're just like this game. The tone is all over the place. What's happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you alluded to, essentially, Seth comes back to base with you. Seth's like, "Oh, thanks for saving me." That Dan guy's crazy. One thing that we haven't alluded to yet is that this Charon Corps has been sending people here forever. Like they've been sending people here for a long time. You get audio recordings inexplicably of like the past crew that was here. And so Seth's like, Dan killed all my friends. Thanks for saving me. He's crazy.
Seth came in and he joined the Karen Corps here in Dite. And then Dan apparently killed everybody. So we're a little wary about Dan, but Seth keeps calling me partner. And I'm just like, I don't like that you call me partner a bunch. And then when you get to Sahelanthropus, you meet Dan and Dan starts talking. He sounds a little crazy, but it makes me not trust Seth even more.
Yeah. It's very strange.
And Virgil scans Dan's vitals and finds that he's mentally sound. Mm-hmm. So he's not like he hasn't gone insane or anything like that.
Yeah, because Virgil has worked with these people before. Virgil's been here, so Virgil actually does know Dan and Seth technically, but apparently Virgil's memory is wiped or whatever. Yeah,
something happened and Virgil doesn't quite remember, but they're talking to Virgil like they know who Virgil is.
Yeah. So essentially, you get sent to go discover this quote-unquote weapon that will be able to destroy the Lord of Dust, which is just Metal Gear Sahelanthropus from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
But it's all overgrown and fucked up and broken and stuff like that. Which I do want to talk to you about when the big twist gets revealed, because I'm trying to figure out what happened here.
I'm trying to place, I've been trying to place like how that happened.
Yeah, which
I don't
spoiler alert, it doesn't fucking matter, but
it's okay.
Yeah, so chapter 16, you teleport the top half of the Metal Gear back to Dite's Afghanistan map. You have these I would say probably the most intense waves of anything in this game up until the end.
Yeah, this is where I think the mortars were first introduced.
Oh yeah,
was this defense.
It's bananas. Like you can see the mortars before this point, but this is where they like are formally introduced.
Yeah, like if you're just doing like single player, like straight story missions, like this is where you see them for the first time.
Yeah. We discovered that Seth is secretly bad and nobody cares, and then Dan is secretly bad and nobody cares.
No.
Or Dan's secretly good. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Seth is a boo-boo bad guy, and after you finish this mission, you get called, and you're just like, you got to get back to camp now. Because apparently Seth revealed that he is a bad guy, and he kidnaps Chris and threatens to kill Chris.
Yeah, because always go for the crippled black kid, ASAP.
And he wants you to come to the Afghanistan base alone, and he locked all the other transporters. But Dan has some kind of like weird. He shows up at the base and is like willing to help, and he has this like weird thing that'll let you teleport to the Afghanistan map without using the base teleporter. So Reeve goes and scopes the place out, and the plan is that the captain's going to go distract.
I don't know how Reeve got there in a way that Seth didn't notice.
There was some like weird shit that was happening. Like Dan had like I don't quite remember exactly. It was like some type of like technology, but Dan
some Deus Ex Machina bullshit.
Pretty much, Dan had a thing. Like, even though Seth had shut down all the teleporters except for the one in the Afghanistan map, made Virgil do that. Dan had some type of thing that would let Reeve go there anyway. It was some weird, like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, which kicks off that chapter 17, which is our only boss fight.
Yes. So Reeve goes, and the plan is the captain's going to distract Seth, and Reeve is going to get Chris. And then then you go and you find out that Seth is apparently a host for the dust, and this is when you find out that the dust is actually just a mutation of our fucking medical nanomachines. This is when you find out it's nanomachines again.
Yeah. And essentially he says that you have it too. Like it's like in your arm or whatever.
Yeah. So it was apparently dormant, but by coming in contact with Seth, it became undormant.
Mm-hmm. And same with Virgil, right? So Virgil has the two personalities because one of them is an infection.
Yeah. So it split them up so that the subroutines can run individually, and that's why it has two personalities.
Sam, you became like a scholar for this game.
I
like you know so much. Like the moment you were like, yeah, because of the subroutines, I was like, oh no. Like the nanomachines have Sam.
I know too much about this game. But it explains that it wants to get to our world because it wants to essentially assimilate everybody into its consciousness. So there's only one will, one consciousness, thing like that. And it says that's the peace that humanity has been waiting for. And then
this isn't when the big twist gets revealed, right?
Oh no, I
legitimately don't know when that happens.
Oh no, yeah, this happens like right after the battle, I think.
Oh, the big twist is right after the battle?
I believe so.
Okay,
Virgil gets all of its memories back.
And, that's right. Yeah,
explains it.
Yeah. Which is pretty.
But
it's probably the one interesting thing about this, but it's like being the one good thing in a dinner that you got out of the dumpster.
Right.
But yeah, so we have this boss fight.
Yeah, you have this boss fight because Seth is trying to essentially assimilate the captain, and then Reeve does this badass thing and just pops out from where he's hiding, like shoots Seth in the head and kills him, grabs Chris and goes, and then the captain stands up, and then the Wander infection like wakes Seth up, and he turns into like this again. He turns into a fucking bloodborne monster.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, too, is I will say Seth's instantaneous, like, no time to talk, shoot him in the fucking forehead was, like, the only believable part of this entire story.
Yeah.
Like, Reeve just puts him down so fast. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's like this, like, oh, Reeve's kind of a badass there.
Yeah, it was like every character in every Metal Gear game should be taking cues from Reeve, because, like... Yeah. Don't talk, just die. Like, it was insane. But I did want to talk to you, Sam. So at what point did you stop playing?
It was around here, actually. I think I beat Seth and then I stopped playing because I was just like, ugh.
How did you go about this Seth fight? Because I thought it was going to be very difficult, but besides him being a bullet sponge, I did not have a hard time with this at all.
I think I had like a shotgun at that point.
The little sawed-off boy, like the 8-shot.
Yeah, and I mostly used that. What I wound up doing was I essentially used Virgil as a shield because he can't harm Virgil, and I essentially just fucking Benny Hilled around Virgil for a while.
Yeah, so that's the weird thing about this boss fight is so you're battling him in the middle of the base that you've been building in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. The thing that the game doesn't tell you is that when he fucking shoots, if you dodge it, it will blow shit up in your base.
Yeah, that sucks.
And that's the crappy part.
Yeah. So the best way, like, that's why I found, like, the best way, I think it happened, and then I was like, oh, fuck. And I think the best way to mitigate that is by using Virgil as a shield, because he can't blow up Virgil. Mm-hmm. So when he shoots at you, but he shoots at Virgil, and it misses you, and then you can run around and shoot him again.
Yeah, I did the same thing, except I used the level up station. Because it was, like, wider.
That can't die either,
yeah.
Wider.
And so what I did was I did that and I used flame arrows and I just like peppered him like crazy with flame arrows and Molotovs and he eventually went down.
Yeah, it's not a hard boss. It's just he has a lot of health.
It takes a lot to put him down though.
Yeah, it's not a hard boss fight. It's just quantity. And since this was the only actual boss fight in the entire game, I would have liked for it to be a little bit more what am I trying to find?
Interesting.
Beefier.
Yeah.
Interesting in any way. But yeah. So that's Reeve.
Do you want to talk about this post Seth twist?
Yeah, Virgil.
The twist that kind of like weirdly, literally, it's the only thing that answers the Diamond Dogs base question. Yeah. But it's like, why? Like,
And then it's just like so Virgil, after the battle, since Virgil's infection essentially was resurfaced with the captains by coming in contact with Seth, Virgil remembered a bunch of shit, and pretty much everything, and tells you, hey, this isn't an alternate dimension, this is the future. This is the world's future. So you're you're on Earth in your own dimension. You just time traveled essentially through the wormhole. And the Lord of Dust, his whole thing is that he goes back in time and destroys the past that he lands in, and then just keeps doing it.
He's like in a perpetual time loop where he like creates the future so he can eat the past, but does it forever for some reason. It's very weird.
Yeah, we're clearly not worried about like time travel paradoxes or anything.
Oh, not at all. Well, and the weird thing is like
butterfly effect or whatever.
The Diamond Dog's mother base being present is answered by this revelation, but as is the Philanthropist thing. But that then poses the question, like, so are you trying to tell me that Metal Gear Solid 5 still happens after? So, like, that would have to be the case that Metal Gear Solid 5 happens.
They kind of allude to that. In the because this game obviously has a title card after the credits.
And there's an alternate ending too, right?
Yeah, which is okay.
Yeah, I think the alternate ending also kind of addresses that too. So essentially, like, my understanding is that the Phantom Pain is like still happened, but this is a potential future after that.
Because they go over it, it's like, I think they say, like, because you stopped Lord of Dust, this doesn't happen. So the thing that the wormhole happening in the beginning of this game doesn't happen in Metal Gear Solid 5, because the timeline of this game, you stopped the Lord of Dust from going back in time and opening the wormhole in the first place. It's really dumb, and it's giving me a headache.
Yeah.
So we should move on.
Okay, fine. We'll talk about the alternate ending, which is also very dumb. But so essentially they're just like hand waving. Like, I don't know. So between MGS5 happening and this future where everybody's medical nanomachines decide to say, fuck everybody. I guess somebody just abandons the Philanthropist in the woods in Africa forever.
Eli.
So,
Eli was like, nah, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, Eli was like, you're not my dad. Anyway, Chapter 18 happens. Essentially, this is the home stretch. Chapter 18 is kind of just like if you've played The Witcher 3, when you get to the end of the game and you get those like, hey, it's the last quest, but really it's like 17 quests of you collecting components for the final battle. It's just that.
Yeah, they do this thing where it's just like Dan is like, well, we need to fix these blades to trap the Lord of Dust for the plan so we can shoot it with this railgun, but I don't know how to fix it. And then Chris is just like, I can fix it. And it's like, wow, Stem.
I'm in a wheelchair. I know how to fix it.
Yeah, Stem really did goodbye, Chris, huh? Like, because when you find Chris doesn't tell you how he wound up in Dite or in this future.
Do you think he was born here? Do you think like two wanderers birthed like a beautiful, intelligent child?
I don't know. But like, even if that's the case, he didn't tell you. He doesn't tell you how he wound up there.
Oh, hold on. Weird fucked up question real quick. So are wanderers just people where the nanomachines have taken over their body?
That's what
So like the implication is like the same nanomachines that allow you to make a codec call can eat you from the inside out and turn you into a Jolly Rancher.
That's the implication.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of metal. They don't
metal.
really depict that, but
yeah, because that's what Miranda's whole thing was. She wanted to like find a cure. But yeah, they never explain Chris's whole deal. He never tells him how he gets there, and he's just really smart enough to fix a fucking Metal Gear function.
We didn't mention that he's dressed like Urkel too, by the way.
Yeah, he's definitely dressed like Urkel. He sounds like this. Like he has this really high, like whiny voice. But yeah, so they fix this whole thing is like we're fixing Metal Gear and we're getting ready for the final battle, and they fix Metal Gear, and then they summon the Lord of Dust, and they're all about to go home.
Oh, we can't miss the Code Talker thing. I want to talk about that real fast.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So Chapter 18, we have to find a fucking another memory board. But randomly, for no reason, and I could not find a teleporter anywhere near it, you end up in the mansion that Code Talker's in MGS5.
Yeah.
Yeah. inexplicably, and the memory board is just in a server in this building.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
And also another thing that I wanted to say, you know how like sometimes you walk around, this is nothing to do with anything, but sometimes you're walking around like and there's ambient dialogue.
Uh-huh.
There was some dialogue that Nicholas said. He said something like, the first thing I'm going to do when I get home is crack open a cold beer and watch some Major League Baseball. I'm just like, dude, what? Like, why didn't you just say baseball?
I really wish that he was gonna be like, crack open a nice cold beer and watch some WNBA.
WNBA. I need to see my girl Lisa Leslie.
Jesus Christ. Oh, also real quick before the going home blade trap stuff. So you have to build the blade trap first.
Yes, yeah.
And that fucking blows, dude. Like I legit, so here's how fed up with the game I was. I had like one piece of really good armor that had, because you can break shit up and take the parts out of it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, I need to find this rare element, and I kept looking everywhere for the titanium alloy, but I guess I just like used all of it. And so I was like, I am so ready to end this game that I'm just gonna break down my pants so I can use the alloy from my pants to build this last fucking thing. And then when I did that, it was like, oh, you need 200,000 Cubon energy. Good luck. And so I ended up having to do some shitty mining side quests just to get enough money to do this. But anyway, end of the digression. It was a little obnoxious, and then we get to the end that you're about to describe.
Yeah, they build everything, and then Virgil's like, okay, you guys go through the portal. I'm going to trigger the railgun and kill Lord of Dust, and you guys can go home. And everybody has like this weird like conscience moment where they're just like, no, we can't leave Virgil here. It's like everybody has this like real emotional connection to Virgil.
Like people just start crying. Like it's very weird.
So everybody like one by one decides they're staying. Dan says, "I'll stay and trigger the railgun," and then Nicholas says, "I'll stay too. You an old timer, somebody to crack your back or something like that." And then Miranda decides to stay because, of course, she does. And then Reva's like, "Fine, I guess." And the captain, and then it's like the captain feels the same way, right, Captain? And then obviously you're staying because why not?
Well, and everybody says, "But Chris." They're like, "Chris has to go."
But they have to send somebody back. So they give Chris all the data on wormholes, and they send him back. So you send Chris through the teleporter, and everybody, in case they haven't in case you really wanted to get beat up by that, because apparently you didn't notice this.
I did. I absolutely did not until like 2 missions before this. I go, wait a minute.
Yeah, they send Chris through the wormhole, and as he's going up, he says, "I promise I'll come back for you." And everybody's saying, "Good luck, Chris. Good luck, Chris. Good luck, Chris."
I really would have liked a close shot on all of their mouths, and it's just like, "Good luck." Yeah, so good, bad, not good, or whatever the hell is
Chris.
Is Chris.
It winds up being Chris. Yeah.
That's dumb.
But yeah, so once you send Chris through the teleporter, you have to go down and defend the blades. But this is where the divergence happen, where you can have the alternate ending. And I didn't even think that this was a thing you could do.
Yeah,
but
I didn't either.
If you turn around, you can just go into the portal and leave the battle without finding Lord of Dust,
which is amazing.
Just let it all happen. You go through the portal and you wake up in like some desert, and you look around, and there's just nothing, and then you start walking. And that's just the end of the game.
Well, but the way that you're walking and the way that you're looking, you look like one of the super weirded out like MSF wandering soldiers from MGS5. And so I think the implication is that like you're one of those.
Yeah.
But the fucked up part is that means that the implication then is that this game's fucking canon and that those guys are coming from here.
Yeah. Which is like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, that's like straight donkey shit. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, so that's the quote unquote alternate ending.
Yeah, but the actual
this final battle's pretty sick though. I kind of enjoyed this. I was like, I would have liked this more.
It's like you said earlier. It's like the best like battles in this game is when you pretty much expend all of your resources to do it, and that's what this battle is. It's the final battle essentially.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like it's like. Yeah. When it sucks, too, because you're close enough to your base, but not close enough to where between waves, you really don't have time to fix anything.
Yeah, you just have to kind of deal with it.
Yeah, so it's like the whole time I was like, Essentially what happens is there are these 4 drills that are creating these spikes out of the ground, kind of like when Sahelanthropus in MGS5 would like swing his sword and it would like send the shockwaves through the ground. They've pinned the Lord of Dust, and so your whole thing is like,
yeah, but they pin him, but they need they need
yeah.
to do it again to capture him.
For sure. And so what you end up doing is you end up defending these 4 little stations. And then as each thing happens, they go, well, Chris set up a defense routine, so let me just trigger this. And somebody hits a button, and it just builds a fuck ton of like fences and barbed wire traps and mortars and all kinds of stuff. And so you essentially have this like playground to play with, to fend off. But you don't even get it. It's cool because they don't give you a timer. So you have no idea how long the wave lasts.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like duking it out.
Yeah. And what struck me about this last battle here is that they don't, like, it's you by yourself doing this, and they don't make mention of why Nicholas and Dan and Reeve can't help you right now. So they're just not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's so weird. It's just
yeah.
wow, this would be great, if like, and it would have been cool, like what they do with like Monster Hunter. Like if these missions, like the single player missions where they're normally like they take the multiplayer missions and then put them into single player and you do them by yourself. It's cool like if you can do them by yourself, but it'd be really cool if you could you can group up and do them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
if you could have friends,
cool.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's the perfect if this game has to be online all the time, that's the perfect way to justify it. They just don't ever justify it.
For sure. Well, and on top of that too, even if that wasn't the case, like let me battle it with Reeve, Miranda, and Nicholas. You know what I mean? Like how cool would that have been to like you not only get this crazy playground of destruction that Chris has set up for you, including like some bananas shit, like flame traps that I'd never seen before. But like let me defend it with my base people.
Yeah. Like you have your AI partners, like if you're doing it single player, like throw them in there and like let you play with the base partners. Like they haven't done shit this entire game, so why aren't they helping here?
Yeah, like incentivize. Like if I can go out and recruit people for my base, like let me actually use them. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's fun. I ended this portion like legitimately out of every single thing that I had and like down to like no health and with like several broken bones, and it was really cool.
And thankfully, at the end of this, that's like the last you have to essentially play the game.
Yeah, so as soon as you get done with this, essentially what ends up happening is you go up to Sahelanthropus. And I thought it was going to be this dope shit where it's like you get inside and you have like a Rock'em Sock'em robot battle with Lord of Dust. But no, it's just like the top half of Sahelanthropus. I'm assuming because they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you just aim the railgun and you shoot it and it splits in half and then it gets built together again.
And then probably the most
dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
It's so fucking stupid. It's funny. The dumbest shit. Virgil explains that the Lord of Dust and the Dread Dust, as it's called, cannot die because
it doesn't know how.
It doesn't know what death is, so it doesn't know how to die, so it can't die. So Virgil's like, okay, I'm going to go launch myself into the Lord of Dust and teach it how to feel. I'm going to
go tell this motherfucker about death, and then you shoot him in the head. It's pretty much what happens.
And then you have to fucking fire the railgun at the head and Virgil.
Which has Virgil in it. Yeah. And I don't know about you, Sam, I was crying. I was like, I don't want to kill my friend.
Were you weeping? I didn't want to kill mom and dad. It was like the only like emotional thing that happens in this game.
Anyway. Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert,
win.
Virgil's fine. Yeah, you win. You kill the Lord of Dust. It turns purple and dies. And then you think Virgil's dead, and then before the emotional weight of like this character like being dead can sink in.
Oh yeah, all of that emotional weight.
Yeah, all of it. It fucking well, I guess so I guess timeout. They have a conversation on the codec right before they finally kill Lord of Dust, and Gooding Jr. Like connects to you guys and plays his final message.
Oh yeah,
and,
I forgot about this.
And Reeve says, "We don't have time for this shit," and then Good Boy says, "We don't have time for this shit." I can almost hear Reeve say it right now.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How would he know that? Because Chris got sucked away already.
I think the idea is that he didn't know it, but he knows Reeve well enough to know that that's something that he would probably say in that moment.
That was poorly written. That did not come across that way at all.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, it didn't land very well, but I think that was the idea. And this is when Chris Luck says that he is Good Luck. So Good Boy reveals that he is in fact Chris, and he got dropped in like 1928 or something like that, or like some like way too early time. And,
it was 1943.
43, yeah. Became a researcher, and then essentially spent his whole career trying to figure out wormhole technology to rescue everybody.
Yeah, he like 11/23/62'd. Like Stephen King, James Franco, like got to go back to stop JFK getting killed. Oh, whoops! I went back too far.
Yeah. So that happened, which leads me to the thing is like, why didn't fucking Goodman tell them about fucking Seth?
Yeah, well, so yeah, there's a lot of why didn't he tell them about, but the other thing is, there's a point in the game where I'm pretty sure it's implied that the good guy Greg killed himself.
Yeah,
is it not? They're like,
yeah, they
he's
said like
dead
he's like
now.
on his way to. I'm on my way to purgatory now, or something like that. It's just like Well, so here's the thing: Gruen tells you that he killed himself. I don't know that he's actually dead, but then Batman himself says that he's on his way to purgatory or something like that. They don't explain it very well, but yeah. So you have this conversation, and then Virgil sacrifices, mom and dad sacrifices themselves, and then as soon as like imagining this is just like somebody, imagine you're watching playing a good game or watching like a good movie or something like that, and a beloved character says, I'm going to sacrifice myself for this thing to happen, and then they do, and then before the emotional weight of this person dying can land on you, they come back and say, JK, I'm still alive. That's what happened in this. Like, so immediately after
Last Jedi.
Yeah, almost. Pretty much. Like immediately after this happens, sacrifice. So Virgil comes back, except now Virgil is purple, and it's only one thing because they realized that they came back and they found out that their shell was made to withstand nuclear bombs, so they didn't die from the railgun. And since the Lord of Dust was killed, and since the Dread Dust was destroyed, its infection was gone, so it reunited its subroutines, and now it's only one AI, and it's purple now because Dad Virgil was blue and Mom Virgil was red, so now it's purple.
I wish that it would have been the man and the woman's voice simultaneously from this point forward. It would have been very creepy and cool.
It would have been very creepy. So now it's Mama Dad, because they're one.
Good old Mama Dad. Yeah, so the weird thing is the game continues from here. So you can continue to do memory board stuff, rescue missions, digging, container collecting. Those two boss fights we talked about with Big Mouth and Frostbite, you can do that. You can encounter them in the wild once you're like level 50 or level 43 or something. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it just doesn't make any sense narratively, because if we destroyed the Lord of Dust and wiped out all of the parasites,
why are there still
the
wanderers
fuck?
and boss monsters and stuff around?
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Also, why is there dust at all? Because there's a cutscene that shows you all of the dust leaving.
No, that was the portal closing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Right after like Virgil reveals that it's still alive, they do the credits and they show the title card of the game, and of course they have a little conversation, and it's Gruen and Good Luck arguing, and this is where they reveal that Good Luck I'm using his real name. What am I doing?
It's because things are getting serious.
Yeah, they're getting too serious. Good Job tells
Great Job.
Gruen tells Great Job that he told them that there was going to be a portal over the mother base, and it never happened. He's reporting Good Boy to like the fucking president, I guess, or something stupid like that.
Oh, I totally missed. I think I totally misinterpreted this. I mean, granted, it was like 2:00 in the morning when I finished this, but I 100% felt like I got no new information from this phone call.
Oh yeah, no, it was essentially them talking about how Good Boy said that there was going to be a portal appearing over Mother Base, and that they needed to beware of that, and then it never happens. And Gruen's like, I'm tired of you, I'm going to report you to this thing, and then he hangs up or goes away or something, and Good Boy's like, that's fine by me, and then he starts monologuing about how he's going to make sure that fucking the technology isn't ever going to ruin the future again, and thanks the heroes without names.
He keeps calling them that. He keeps calling
Yeah.
everybody that, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like thanking them for saving the future and some shit, and he's going to fight to protect the future like the
Yeah.
captain did or something like that, and then it just ends.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way to actually leave. It might happen once you hit like level 50 that you can just be like, I can leave. But you're like kind of permanently just trapped in Dite, I believe. And yeah, that's Metal Gear Survive. I don't know. Let's throw in some final thoughts before we do kind of the wrap up, send off stuff. So Sam, like, if you had to just completely just give me like the back of the box, like this is Sam's opinion on this game. Should I buy it? Is it worth my time? What is this? Like, how would you kind of frame it up?
I would say it's a deeply flawed game that has flashes of good, and that's what makes it so bad. Is that it's like so many degrees off of good that like you see the potential, but it's just they just never achieve it, and it becomes a disappointing mess. And I would save your money. Maybe like if you can find it in a sale for like $10 down the line, maybe pick it up if you're curious. But I think if it's more than that, I wouldn't waste your money or time on it.
Yeah, for me, it's like I think it's less about money and more about time. Like,
yeah, it's like
there's so many other great games to play. Like, why?
Yeah, I'm an adult. I get paid my paycheck. I can be okay with losing $40, but it's just like I have a finite amount of time, and I could be spending it doing other cool things, and I wasted it on this.
Yeah, and even if you're like me and you have some sort of weird illness that overtakes you from time to time, and you're like, I just want to grind things. There's so many other things you can play. Yeah. Like I mean, fucking boot up like OG Dragon Warrior on iOS, and you know what I mean? Like anything.
There's so many other things you could be doing right now.
Yeah.
I would give it a dumpster meal out of pancake.
Yeah, I could get with that. I think, so I echo a lot of the same sentiments that Sam says. Obviously, from you guys on that Facebook post, I don't feel like I need to take back anything that we said in this Facebook post because I don't think we were necessarily wrong.
No, I think at the time we were still like fresh with it, and it was giving us those flashes of potential. So I think like saying the positive things about it that we did was fine.
Yeah, and truth be told, even finishing the game, I don't think me saying the game's better than I thought it was gonna be is necessarily false.
It was better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, and the co-op stuff is fun. Like, again, the co-op stuff is fun. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to be like a survival apologist or anything like that. I think it is a colossal waste of time and a waste of resources for Konami.
Yeah. Absolutely. I give it a good buy out of good luck.
Yeah, I go play fucking any free-to-play game, and it would be like a better use of your time than this. Mm-hmm. Like, Let It Die.
Go play
is a better game than this.
Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite's great.
Go play
yeah,
Fortnite, or something. Yeah, go play something else.
If you want craftable survival kind of fun shit with personality, I would definitely play Let It Die, the free-to-play Suda51 like tower crawler. If you want, dude, even like the fucking single player for Fortnite is better than this. Yeah. Like the single player kind of like survival mode or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's not great.
Go
it's
play
not
fucking
Metal Gear.
Go play Don't Starve.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't Starve Together. Like go play and literally anything else.
Yeah,
go play Crashlands.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't recommend you go play A Way Out because I did not like that game. But definitely play anything else. A Way Out, that co-op Two Brothers game that just came out.
I've heard so many different things. I've heard you say it's bad, and I've heard somebody say that It's like their game of the year so far, so I'm very confused.
Yeah, the gameplay itself is fine. The story is like the most generic, stupid shit story. And I think the acting is like Room level acting.
Whoa, you're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Dude, it's pretty bad. Anyway, that's story for another time, but I think
Yeah.
A Way Out hit me with the same feelings that this did, which is like, if you strip the mechanics out and you make them a little bit more interesting, cool, this could be great. As it stands right now, the story is complete garbage. I have no incentive to keep playing, and I can see the twists coming from a mile away. And I feel the same way for both of the games, like simultaneously. Yeah. I would say those things. But
I feel that.
Anyway, yeah, that's
like,
fucking
like
Metal Gear Survive.
If you feel like you have some free time that you don't want to spend on anything else, and it's $10, pick it up, give it a shot. But otherwise, don't waste your time, don't waste your money.
One, it's like they were afraid to even use Metal Gear music, so like hardly anything Metal Gear actually is even in this game, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's like all locked up in like some weird Kojima contract or something, or
well, it can't be because they use Snake in it for a little bit, and Metal Gear, like there's a lot of stuff that they used that like it doesn't make any sense why they didn't just like go heavy on the Metal Gear.
Yeah,
maybe it's because they wanted to like distance themselves from Kojima's like legacy, maybe. But
I guess it's very strange.
I think that's stupid. If you're gonna make a Metal Gear game, then you're already opening yourself up to the legacy and the comparisons. So you might as well just go all in on it.
For sure. Well, cool, you guys. That was episode 65 Metal Gear Mondays. We're back.
Holy shit, we did it. We did an episode of a podcast.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah, so just to reiterate, I said it before, so, and Sam, I might need your help on this. I'm going to retcon. I'm going to go through the wormhole, and I'm going to retcon a couple things. So I'm going to record 64 variations of new kind of top of the episode things that you can do to help the show for the past backlog. Because
maybe we should all record some.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And we could maybe even do it on the Rising episode when we record. But my whole sort of thought process was we are starting a Patreon specifically for Metal Gear Mondays and only Metal Gear Mondays. And so if you like this show and you want to help support the show, the reason why we have to do these sort of seasons with breaks in between now is because we're all extremely busy, but we love the show. We love you guys. And we love the fact that you guys have just like
seriously, we have
poured out so much love since we stopped.
Since the show stopped, we have not stopped getting letters and like questions and fan mail and stuff from people and like answering questions. And I want to shout out Matt Smith, who's been just like heavy with the letters, and we appreciate that quite a bit. But like
absolutely,
it hasn't stopped, and it's just like there's still like demand for this, and we are, you know, very appreciative of that. And as if you recall, if you listened to it, we got very emotional at the end of our final episode. I had announced anyway previously that I was gonna be walking away regardless of it stopping or not, and I got very emotional at the end of that episode. This podcast means a lot to us, and it means a lot to be able to bring it back, and it means a lot that you guys still care about it. So that's why we wanted to do the season format, because it would help us be able to do it while still maintaining all the stuff that we do outside of it.
Totally. Could not have said it better myself, Sam. You just nailed it.
Boom, baby. I got to win with words, bitch.
But yeah, so
I got to win with words, bitch.
You can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon, all through just Metal Gear Mondays, and on SoundCloud. We still have all of the episodes up there. Thankfully, SoundCloud's going to let me like retcon all those past episodes and re-upload the files, which is great. But paying to keep the show going, even through the SoundCloud servers and up on iTunes and everything like that, is still the same sort of cost as it was before, but we've been kind of keeping it going no matter what. So any sort of assistance in keeping the servers up would be great. Outside of that, we do at some point, if we can raise the capital through Patreon, we would love to have the ability to do like a streaming, like playing Metal Gear games and streaming related games like once or twice a month. or even more than that, depending on the support that we get. And we want to do some other fun stuff too, like pay to have special episodes for all of us to travel and do them in person and stuff like that. So every little bit helps. The structure for that Patreon hasn't been totally solidified just yet by the time of recording. So definitely go to patreon.com/Metal Gear Mondays to check out more information. But we're just going to try and be more transparent, more fun, and just more available for you guys moving forward in a way that's respectful of our time as well. Also, we'd like to give a shout out to Heinrich Ness. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. HENRICK, separate word, NESS, for creating the wonderful Theme of Tara rearrangement that we're including as the new theme song for the show. He's available on SoundCloud.com as Heinrich Ness, as well as on YouTube, and you guys should check him out. I'll throw a link to his work in the show notes for the episode. Yeah, outside of that, Sam, is there anything that you want to point folks to go check out? Have you found any cool shit since last we recorded?
Found any cool shit? There's this like cool otter wearing a Seattle t-shirt here in Seattle.
Hell yeah. I took a picture in front of that boy.
Mm-hmm. So there was that. I want people to be aware of that. And I want people to go to the Pop Culture Museum in Seattle because it's really cool.
Yeah, it was super good. No Metal Gear things, unfortunately.
No Metal Gear things, but cool. Like a bunch of other really cool stuff. So those are just things that I want you to be aware of. If you're ever in the Seattle area, go check those out.
Very nice.
But you can follow me on Twitter if you want at Sanjul. It's SANJUUL. If anything comes up, like if I'm doing any like side projects or other things, I will let you know there. But yeah, I think that's it. I also wanted to say, I am Matt AF. Matt, listen, we gotta talk about how I never attacked you once. I officially defended you, and I have a lot of respect for the U.S. Postal Service and the people that work for them. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's all I have to say.
I don't know what that's all about, but okay.
It was when I was doing From Another Mother. He was listening to that, and my co-host on that show lashed out against the U.S. Postal Service and Matt, and he's held a grudge ever since.
That's amazing.
And he has lumped me into this grudge, and I haven't done anything to him except defend him and nurture him and be kind. So
great. Well, yeah, cool. I'm not going to make any promises as to when this is going to happen, but I am eyeballing doing some community blog stuff on Kotaku's sort of just like user-generated content. And so I think I'm going to be doing some video games writing, but I think I may do like Metal Gear retrospective write-ups that also include the corresponding episodes of this show, talking about each game in the series and why they're important, sort of historically. And so if you're interested in that, definitely check that out. You can just go to acsummerfield.com to check out like my writing and my film work and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, next week we're from the time of release of this episode, next week the Metal Gear Rising episode will be out. Week after that, we will have an episode on talking about Metal Gear mobile games internationally. And then we're going to have an episode about Metal Gear fan fiction. And then we'll be taking a break and coming back. We'll be recording our Peace Walker season in late June. So that will more than likely release probably like mid-July, late July. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace Walker is one of my all-time favorite Metal Gear games. So I'm excited
to play it because I still have never played it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I think the story is one of my favorites. So that's why I hold 5 in such specific light for what it did with the story that I really enjoyed from Peace Walker. But woo! Anyway, Sam, this
Hi.
is weird, but we didn't really talk about the use of Metal Gear iconography in Survive in terms of the cardboard boxes. So
we didn't. You can wear it on your head.
Yeah, you can wear it on your head.
And then when you beat,
you can give it to your friend as a gift.
Yeah, when you beat a digger mission, they drop a bunch of them, and you can collect stuff from them. You can collect prizes from them.
Every once in a while, though, I mean, have you ever? It's kind of a weird roulette system, right? Because sometimes when you crack them open, there's a ton of materials and everything's great and you're excited. But then other times, it's almost as if it's just box.
It's oh my god, that felt so good.
Just a box.